Mhm. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So me and Bob had already done a UFO 50 tier list of the 50 games, and Yoshi did not join us because he had gone on a magical quest to 100% the game, which is 100% 50 games, and he most definitely 99% of it. So
Yep. So yeah, I've managed to cherry every game except Cyber Owls. I golded not because it's necessarily the hardest, because at that point I was like, I've done everything I need to do. Like, I would not recommend going on this quest. Some of the cherries are like, stuff like do more of the game and stuff, and that's cool. But some of them are more like dick smashing and just like no
Mm.
continues, motherfucker. Um,
I would.
I don't necessarily regret it because I did want to at least play through all the games and all the content to experience it all, and also to do this tier list. And also, a lot of the later ones that I could be sunk cost fallacy, I was just like struggling to gold anyway, and like the cherry was sort of in the way of the gold, but it's an interesting thing.
So yeah, I wanted to do a tier list for him because his experience is a lot different than ours, and I kind of get the feeling that we're a little different in how we handle games because I couldn't imagine doing
Mm.
this. Like,
No.
but so like me and Bob, I think agreed a lot. I don't know how similar our list is going to be to Yoshi's, so I was like, let's get him to do his list, and then we'll compare and see how that turns out. Just for the record, the gameplay is me here. I'm just messing around with it like I did last time. But Yoshi does have 49 cherry games, and then the last one is just like it. We get the picture. It's we understand
They
how
should
it
just give
works.
you that one.
It's because it literally, yeah, it's just like beat the game but don't die. It's like that's not an interesting goal. That's just more of the same, but just don't
That's
screw
just
up.
playing well. Yeah, that's not creative.
So, I guess we can just go ahead and go into
Yep.
it.
Starting with Barbuta. Barbuta is really interesting because, like, on the Steam page, it says they're like, games with a modern design philosophy. Barbuta is very specifically meant to be like the first game that they made, and it feels like an old game. It's meant to look like an old game. It's meant to be like the humble beginnings of this series. And so unlike the other games, which are mostly just whatever tech level they wanted to make the game in, this one definitely feels. It's made to be like the old 8-bit micro, uh, flip screen platformers.
Microcomputers.
Yeah, home computers, and like generally the ones that were a bit more sort of almost the prototype Metroidvanias. Like this one is a full-on Metroidvania, that there are a bunch of items to unlock different paths. And it's definitely going to be an acquired taste because you move slow as fuck. And one thing you kind of have to get at the beginning is at first it feels like your hitbox is fucking terrible, but instead what it is that enemies take more than one hit and they don't fucking make any reaction to taking partial damage.
There's no
So you are
feedback.
hitting them, yeah, which is not a great thing. But I actually really like this game because there's just a lot to explore, and they made a lot of smart decisions. Like, you can like lose all your lives and like have to start over, but a lot of the game is knowledge. And in
Yeah.
fact, if you know exactly what you're doing, you can actually beat the game in like 4 minutes. Like one of the major items you have to get is like there's this room full of ladders, and then you have to all the way in some other part of the map. You see a similar room that kind of tells you the code you have to enter on those ladders. And so once you know that, you don't have to like ever go to that room in the lower right again. You can just put the code in right away, and so you've kind of permanently unlocked that, even though you start over every time. Also, there are so many different ways to get most of the key items needed to beat the game. like a lot. Oh, there are like 3 different ways to get into the final area. Like you can just buy your way in, or you can go in like the 2 other different ways that each have their own different items. There's just a lot of freedom in like discovering how to beat the game and just buying your way through or actually finding the items. And you also, all of it is very fair. There's only one thing I didn't figure out by myself eventually, and when I looked it up and saw it, it's like, oh no, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So I really like this game. I can't give it an S because it's just like it is. It is an acquired taste for sure, but I really like this game, and I'm giving it an A.
I suppose we should give like a general idea of how our tiers work, how our tiers worked, just so we're at least like approaching the letters in the same way. I mean, it's pretty self-obvious, but we had S, A, B, C, and D. We didn't have an F. Well, we did originally. We originally had what we called Baby Mad, but we then changed that to a not qualified category.
So
for games we felt unable, like really couldn't really justify reviewing them.
So there were
one of those was there was Barbuta was one of them.
4 games that we put in there. 3 of them I still feel not qualified to really review. One of them I actually went back and I actually have things to say about it now, but we'll get to that. But yeah, this one is very much the same thing. I like, I as you could tell, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I kind of looked at it and I just kind of went like, this isn't really for me. Like, I get it, and I appreciate it, but it's just, I'm not...
Yeah, this is very much for a specific kind of player. Like, and I'm that kind of player, and I know other people won't. This is, you will like it or you will hate it, and you will know beforehand, and that's okay. It is a very bold decision putting this as the first game, even though logically it makes sense. As far as a package, this is going to be the first game most people play.
It is the meta narrative. It makes a lot of sense, but it is we mentioned that before. Like, people actually didn't like, or like they had their opinion of UFO 50 changed because of playing this game, and that's like kind of a bad thing because it is not.
Reviews. It's not a good game to lead with. It's you made a point, Yoshi, that I didn't really think of, is the fact that of all the games, this is the only one that really feels like it was designed around like being like a retro game. Like the other ones are like they can pass for modern games in a retro shell, but this is like the screen by screen thing, the slow movement. This one really feels like something on a microcomputer. Yeah. Whereas all the other ones, like you could like reskin and pass them off as modern games, which they are. This one, like this is just intrinsically a very old game. But we put it. We saw what it was. We appreciated it. We didn't like say, "Oh, it sucks" or anything. But we agreed that not really for us. But it seems neat.
I mean,
we did initially say we didn't like it, and then we're just like, you know what? This feels kind of mean because it's not like we don't like it. It's just that it's not for us. But
yeah. So anyway, going back to the tiers, since we kind of get it operated, my S is like the best of the best. A is solid. B is good. C is kind of meh or fillery or kind of like just or also things that have like, they're mixed. D is has some problems, and F is F.
Well,
okay.
I think yeah. How did we define our worst SK? Because like we didn't go lower than D. But I don't want to spoil what games are in there. I don't want to say what games are in there.
I think it was straight up like we had the idea of doing like or I don't even know if we even had the idea, because I just don't think we dislike any game in this collection that much.
I just wanted to I wanted to clear that up with you, because like our bottom tier, it's not to say it's like
it's D,
truly awful. That's fine, but you might have an F.
Yeah,
we'll see. But
all right.
I'll say our bottom 2 games were pretty close to being F tier, but we were just like, they're not that bad. They're just bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bug Hunter, it's a really good early game. It's just there's a lot of different things you can do in it, and a lot of strategy, like jumping on the bugs. The bugs each having the 2 different evolutions. It's just this very good like roguelike or sort of like just streak puzzler thingy where you build up your character and there's just a ton of strategy. And I don't know if I have really a lot to say that is like mind-blowing about it. It's just it does what it does very well, and I got addicted to it for a while, but then it kind of fell off a little bit. But I still put this in A because it's just there's just so many different things you can interactions with, like how the how you can blow up the energy cubes or push enemies into the energy cubes or push them into holes, or there's just a bunch of different mechanics that are all very natural feeling that give you tons of options along with your thing to tackle each level.
Fair.
Right.
I don't disagree with any of that. It didn't click with me, but I just kind of felt like I don't know. I just don't.
If I remember correctly, we both liked it, but we both found it too difficult.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to
that was
describe
our biggest problem. This is as good a time to mention. Yoshi, have you played any of these multiplayer?
No, not really.
Okay, because that might change it. Well, not like change tier placements, but it's quite interesting because what we said, we played this through remote play, and we said we actually preferred the 2-player mode to the single player.
I guess if you're thinking of it as too difficult, a 2-player mode that is versus, like, the difficulty is you versus the other person, so you're equal level, and that definitely fixes that.
Pretty much, yeah. That's why.
And I feel like it would be an interesting 2-player mode, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a little bit of trouble with it, but like I can usually stop it anywhere between 2 to 4 is when I die.
Right.
Streak of 2 to 4 days, which is fine.
Yeah, I think that speaks to our general thing is that we have less patience with stuff like this. I think putting more time into it, we could definitely learn it, but we didn't. I think that's the thing is, as a single player game, we didn't like it enough to put that time into it, but we were fine with it. I don't have any real complaints, but that's just yeah.
All right, so now we're moving on to Ninpek. This is a very cute, good early game. You got the mobility of the double jump. It's a very simple game. But it does what it does well, and it has that arcade feel. There isn't a lot to it, so there isn't too much to say. The main thing is that when I cherried this, it was before the bug fix, where the bug was when you get to the second loop, because there's a second loop, and it's actually different, like the enemy roster is different and stuff. The bug was that it re-awarded you every single extra life you were entitled to by your score.
Oops.
So there was just a stream of lives coming up from the bottom.
That's pretty funny.
So
I feel like a lot of these. It's kind of a funny thing because there's a lot of these. There isn't too much to say. I can't imagine we're going to be here that long because there was a video of us two already discussing these. So I imagine this is going to be a shortest video.
We don't have to describe the game again. We just have to go through
gotcha
opinion.
So I think I'm going to put it on a B.
Sure.
It's borderline C, but I do think it held my interest a lot. It was a good first early start game there.
I wanted to point out, because this is something, if you watch the video again, between the first and second recording session, I beat Ninpek. So, whenever we reviewed it, I was just like, yeah, I haven't really gone back to it, I didn't really beat it. And then at some point, you can see on my title screen, I'm like, oh, it's actually gold now. So I didn't get to actually, say anything about it, but yeah, I beat it. It was, not that hard.
Yeah, we put that on B as well. It's fine. I'm quite fond of it, but it's not too special.
Yeah. Paint Chase. This is another simple one, but I really like it. I really like that it has the like intermissions, Pac-Man style.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the idea is to paint everything, but really the idea is to kill everything in order to keep them from like painting it faster than you can. And it's got a lot of levels, and it's just a really solid game. I like it. It's an A for me.
I want to also mention that apparently, like when I reviewed it, I hadn't seen shit of it, and then I went back and played it, and I saw a bunch of enemies I hadn't seen before. I was like, "Oops, I was not ready to review that."
Yeah, they introduced a lot. They gradually introduce more and more, elements as the game goes on.
It's a very well designed game for how short it is. Like how it's pocket sized, but they add a lot of neat new stuff to it, and they constantly mix and match the different power ups and enemies. And I think you do have a good point though. Like you do focus on enemies, and you just end up painting a lot of the field as a result of that. And no, it's a solid little game.
Yeah, that we put that on B as well.
Magic Garden. It's kind of. So this is it's the only one whose intro is a tutorial rather than an actual demo, which is kind of funny. This is sort of one of those. It's not a falling puzzle game, but it's sort of like that in that it's about building chains and getting high scores.
Oops.
And running into the wall and dying.
She wants to die.
It's an interesting game, and I liked getting into the sweep of like just building up a bunch of potions and then having this just massive combo is just kind of fun.
Massive killing streak.
Yeah, it's just kind of a little weird that it ends at a certain number of dudes, which it does force you to be like actually proactive about like scoring high, but it also just kind of means it ends, and you don't really get to push your score much harder than you can.
Yeah, I remember mentioning that. It's like it feels very weird that a game like this has an end instead of it just being endless. It kind of feels like it's begging for that, but I think that's just the nature of UFO 50.
Yeah. BC. I'll put it in B. I'm generous right now.
We put it in B.
Yeah, you can go back and change it if you need to, but... Okay. Mortal, alright.
Oh man, I love this game. Like, I love the first thing you see is how many people have to die to save Mortolia. And just like very hardcore. It's a great puzzle platformer. I love the mechanic of how every time you kill an enemy, 3 enemies, you get a thing, and it like it means that every time you want to and they always put like endless enemy shooters everywhere. So anytime you want to you have to blow up or kill one of your dudes, you always want to make sure that you kill an enemy at the same time so that you scratch out an extra life from it.
Yeah.
It's just really rewarding, and I'm going to put it in S. It very much impressed me.
Alright, well, that I believe reflects ours.
Yeah.
Yep. I said in the video that this is the game that got me to buy UFO 50 when I saw it in the trailer. So yeah, big fan. Yeah, that was one of my absolute favorites.
Oh, Velgress. Oh boy.
Yeah. Velgress is...
Sorry.
This is a game that's trying to be a roguelike, but it doesn't really want to be. As far as like how the game plays, like it's one-hit deaths, or not one-hit deaths. You could die instantly at any time, like that. Yeah, just if you ever fall, it's over, and like you're supposed to like build up items and like get to the end. But like in most roguelikes, you can increase your survivability. But here, like, you can't really do that much. Like, you can, like, get the recovery that helps you, like, recover from being hit, and then, like, you can get some things like the lightweight. But, like, you're still, like, very fragile at any point. until like unless you're lucky enough to get the upgrade that like lets you double jump, and then you're just home free. It's just like incredibly broken.
Triple jump, I assume you mean?
Oh, triple jump, yeah. My bad.
Yeah.
And like, and the game is so short, but it kind of has to be because of how hard and brutal it is. But that's to its detriment. This game just kind of doesn't. It's not. The concept doesn't work very well, and I put it in D.
Whoa. Okay.
It just isn't. It has problems. It doesn't really come together at all.
We have 3 very differing opinions of this game because Bob likes it and I did not care about it. I was very, like you can see here, I don't know what I'm doing because I just kind of went like, whatever.
I would, yeah, one tip I would give is to not shoot so much because it gets rid of the clouds.
Right.
I was quite fond of this game. I get what Yoshi means. It's not like a roguelike, and there's only so many ways you can power yourself up. It is more skill based. It's no, I kind of get it because it's too short to be. You know, you can have all these elaborate leveling up systems because the game is just so short. So it just feels like a fun kind of arcadey game. I feel like the roguelike thing is kind of probably more of a detriment, honestly. But yeah, well, that's the first big dividing opinion. I think I actually like this game more than when we recorded our video, but
Yeah.
And I will say your opinion of like just bouncing off of it, that's probably the kind of opinion that I would have if I did like not just bounce, play every game because I wanted to play every game.
Right.
Like even if I weren't sharing everything, which I regret, I probably would have wanted to play each game to completion.
Sure.
Just to experience it all, and because I like single player stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
Planet, Planet Zelda. What you were going to say something?
Nope.
Planet
No.
Zoldoth is an early example of them leaning a bit too hard on randomly generated things in order to, not have to design levels and keep development time down. It's a neat little Zelda-like thingy with that, and I like how like it's like explained in lore that it's like it changes each time you visit, and that's like actually a thing it does. It's a neat little game, but like it is just kind of randomly generated, and there's only so much they do with it. It's just kind of there. I to see.
Well, do we put this low, right? We didn't just say not qualified.
We put this bottom. This was like the worst game for quite a while.
Wow, really?
We did not like this at all.
It's not the worst game on the list, but it is. It was one of our first D, because I
recognize that there's an audience for it, but it wasn't us two. I think I said that during the video.
Yeah.
It's funny because I didn't particularly like it either, but it doesn't stand out as particularly bad to me.
I think it was just like the idea of, I think you know me, like me losing progress on something just entirely is just frustrating. So this game where it's like if you die, you start the entire run over again and everything is reset. I'm just like, that's not. No, I don't.
You can't even use your memory
I
of how
actually
it
really
was.
hate losing progress too, but unfortunately, in this series, you kind of have to be useful to that, especially if you're cherrying. But
my
just-
problem
it is
was I just
short
don't
enough
like
that-
this.
It is short enough that it's not like as it's not mind melting like some of the other stuff.
I guess that's my problem though, is like if I'm not engaged with the game, regardless of whether or not I can beat it, if I don't have any fun with it, then that's going to make it really low on my list. Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
fair enough.
I found this game. It's like it's just kind of a trial without any sort of amusement to it. It's silly, but other than that, it's just kind of annoying. But yeah,
Yeah.
It's just very, very much not for us.
so tactics. How did you? Yeah.
This is. It's an interesting thing. It's a very. I'm not sure what I think of it because
That's that's fair.
it's got strategy. I played it through. It's just. It's very hard to. I am really having trouble deciding what I think of this game.
I think we borderline had the same thing. We were like, I don't even know if we should put this unqualified because I don't know what to say about it. It's just,
I don't think
am
it
qualified, and
definitely
I
wasn't.
still don't know what to say about it. It's unique
It's
as
just-
hell.
it is.
It's got strategy to it. It's got thing, but like, I'll put it in B. That might be a bit too high, but I did enjoy myself, and nothing pissed me off about it. And it's not filler. It doesn't feel like filler.
It's creative. It's a neat
Yeah.
idea, and it's. I think it's. I wouldn't say it's executed badly. It's just. It's this weird blend of action and strategy that is. I don't know. It feels like it's hard to approach. Because like
We put it in C for the record. Because we just kind of had that. We also had like we don't know really what to think of this. I think it's a cool concept. Just for me personally, I find it like too chaotic. As someone who's not great at strategy games, like
It is very.
I can't think that
is part of
quickly.
why I can't really say whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, and that's just why I'm so confused about this game.
it's a unique thing. At the very least, like it's hard to say if it's good or bad because it's just so different. I feel I don't know.
I don't think it's bad at all, but
No.
we just found it too chaotic, even in 2-player as well.
It very much is a mini game in a collection of games. I feel.
Mm.
But,
Yeah, there's something about it. It just doesn't feel like it's on the same scope as some of the others.
What?
It feels like it'd be like one part of a wider strategy game, like Avianos or Dis
Knights of
Don't
what the hell's it
Disconia.
called?
Yeah,
Disconia.
Lords of Disconia. But
Been a while since we put this up.
yeah.
All right, Devilition. This is fun. It was fun seeing you post that screenshot. Apparently, this was a PC Windows game at first.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Windows 95-ish game.
yeah, and then it became a Flash game later on, and then this.
I really like it. I can see why they used it again so much because it's a really good, solid game, and there isn't a whole lot to say except it is much more replayable than a lot of these because of just how it works and the ability to get time bonuses and thing bonuses. It's bottom of S, I'd say. I just really enjoyed this game.
Okay, it ended up on bottom of A for us, and I think that's just because
That's probably a me thing, to be fair, because I'm shit at it. I think
Yeah,
it's
'cause
cool though.
I liked it. I actually quite enjoyed it. I don't remember if I had beaten. No, I did beat it by then, but it did take me a while because it is very RNG. But no, it's fun.
It took me some tries too to get good at it.
Okay. It's a lot faster whenever we actually have already talked about the game. So.
Yeah.
I think remember this is a supplement to our other video. I can't know if anyone's watching this.
Yeah.
Watch the other one first.
Right. Okay. Kick
Clog.
Club.
Oh man, Bubble Bobble! I love Bubble Bobble.
Hell yeah.
This is a really fun game, but it's very challenging to get through because you have to you only have so many lives and you have to start all over again. You have to get scores in order to get more lives. Um, it's definitely not as deep as Bubble Bobble, which, I mean, Bubble Bobble is fucking ridiculous in how deep it is, even though it has very simple mechanics. This game, it has stuff to it with the slide and the different ways you can kick the ball and header the ball.
The combo system.
Yeah, combo system a little, yeah. Yeah. I think this is a solid B tier. It is. It can be definitely be frustrating if you don't like it going through, but I just really enjoyed it. It's very charming and it plays well. And it lets you have kind of freeform strategy a little bit. All right, what do you think?
That's interesting. Yeah, that's one of the few games where we rated higher, and I think it's because of me, because I actually really like this game.
I like it as cool as well, but yeah.
These are still pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. We put it near Devilish and A. And I think the main reason that what I just love about it so much is I think that it's satisfying to do the combo system. Like it rewards you
getting
with
good at it. Yeah,
rewards you with points so that you get more lives, so it makes it easier to beat the game. But also, it's just a lot of fun to do to actually like plan out your shots and plan out the order you're killing things in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess that's an aspect I almost took for granted just based on the genre.
Right. Yeah. Because I actually have no familiarity with Bubble Bobble, Bubble Bobble, even though I actually recognized that it was similar to that.
Yeah, that was the same. I've never really sat down and played Bubble Bobble, but I recognized. I made the comparison in the video. I always a quick shout out again to the theming because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like football/soccer versus a bunch of other sports. Like that's a fun idea.
I like how you have a bunch of sports and then you just have USA land.
Yes. USA World. That's a good one. Avianos.
Okay, this has no right to be as addicting as it is. I'm like playing I like go back and play rounds of this as custom rounds of this against the computer over and over again, even though the computer isn't necessarily that good. And I just enjoy. It's just a great strategy game. I like how each thing has its own defined role. Each elder has their own defined role, and how they how when you pick an elder, that determines what doesn't appear for the next 2 turns. So you can like draft elders that the opponent doesn't have. There's different strategies based on which elders your opponent's picked out from under you that you have to adapt to, and the way that the combat system is real time and kind of it allows for a lot of complication in how battles play out, but in a very intuitive way, so that you don't feel you don't feel like you don't understand what's going on in a battle, and like it's logical why the archers are really good on defense in a castle, and why certain other things, how surprise attacks work and stuff. And yeah, I can't quite tell why I think it's so good, but I just love it so much. I put it in S.
I'm actually surprised how low it is
Cool.
on our list, looking back on it. Because
I mean, I think it's cool. It's not quite my thing. I mean, it's another one where it's like I totally 100% respect it, and I think it seems really cool, but it's not like something I myself am gonna play a lot of. But like you putting it in S, like I'm fine. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Like it's not lower because I'm like, oh no, it's definitely not that good. No, it is that good. It's just it's like SK and I had like a bit of a discussion. It's like, is this like just like our personal opinion, or like a more subjective like how good is it in general? And then we're just like, well, we can't really determine that much. So it was ultimately just we were very clear to say this is just our personal opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it was B for me. I may have dragged that down a bit because I'm shit.
Nah. There's this kind of turn-based strategy game isn't for everyone.
I did quite like it. I don't know if it's just a skill issue, but the level 3 computer I found to be kind of insane. But because But I don't know. That honestly might be just that I'm not that good at it.
Yeah, you just need. I mean, it took me a while to get through the first 3 levels myself. You just practice and understand. The more you play, the more you learn about the game and the system and what's important and what's not.
Right, sure. Again, it's one of the things. If I put
Yeah.
more time into it, I might have gotten there. But
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
there's only so much time in the day.
oh, Mooncat.
Yeah. I love that this game is super fucking weird. It's almost a shame that I learned that it was an itch.io game before, because like otherwise, I like the way that it's just like it sets up Thorsten Peter as just this weird figure that makes very weird games in the UFO universe, universe of foe.
You know, I never really kept track of like the fictional authors. That's a good point.
Yeah, there's a few that I noticed and such. And because this one is it is labeled as a spiritual successor to Barbuda, even though gameplay it's not, but like it is like very clearly set in the same world with all the eggs and shit.
It's like the same egg graphic, even.
Yeah.
And there's a bit that is like, if you pay attention to the background, is literally the opening of Barbuda.
Yeah, I noticed that immediately.
Oh.
Yeah, you just go through past the cave. That's like the entrance to Barbuda, basically. It's kind of a gimmick being a 2-button game, but I do like that it just makes the game weirder, because at the beginning you're like, what? How do I play video game? What? It still holds. It's not as special once you learn what to do, but it still holds up, and I still enjoyed going through just the way you bounce off of enemies and the way you do it. I think it's a solid A for its atmosphere, and also just it is a solid enough platformer on its own as well, with secrets that are interesting to find. And you have the markers for the secrets in the flowers.
Right. So
Yeah, it's a good piece of design.
This is definitely something that Bob pushed up, because
This is literally my favorite game in the collection.
yeah.
Oh wow!
I love it. It's just the
I can see
atmosphere. This is my ringtone. Not this one, the last level. That's my ringtone at the minute. I don't think you can physically go back. Yeah, I just love the atmosphere. I love the quirky music. The controls are just tight. This is my favorite one. So
This was our second S tier. I like the game. I don't like it as much.
We
as
both
Bob, I
had.
do like it, yeah.
Yeah. SK had his own kind of favorite of the favorite. So we'll get to that though.
Cheetah Ball.
Oh hell yeah! This is a cool game that I wish it was much easier to play in 2-player. Because this is exactly that kind of 2-player competitive game that isn't a fighting game, but that fighting game the community latches onto and plays a lot.
Yeah.
It's
a Windjammers.
Exactly that. Yeah, Windjammers. It is so good. It's just a very solid game, and even playing against the computer isn't like, it feels good. And I love the way like the boss character, quote unquote, just plays a completely different game to everyone else. So he feels like a boss character, but he's still very balanced, and like, he doesn't feel overwhelming and such.
Yeah.
Just a very good way to do that kind of character, even though he turns out to be just kind of a funny guy at his ending. So I put this in S, which is a bit theoretical, but I really see this having a bunch of potential.
I think we would have put this in S if multiplayer was easier to do. Like, if we had the ability to net play this, I think we might have actually been able to bump it up, but as such, it ended up in A. I think that's just...
Yeah, I want to mention as well, like, the Steam Remote Play is the only way... Well, I mean, there's other ways like Parsec and things like that, but like the easiest way to play these games online is Steam Remote Play, and given that we live in different countries, it's there are some games that lend themselves to that and some that don't. So any kind of like turn-based ones, they're good. Unfortunately, it broke our heart, but Bushido Ball does not. It's not good enough for transcontinental Steam remote play. But so I don't know. Probably just we'll put it in A, probably just because of that. But no, like S, like that's fine as well. Yeah, like really good game.
One thing before you click, it's kind of funny that like I picked the Astral backdrop and it has its own version of the theme, and I didn't really realize that until very recently.
Oh, I like that one.
A lot of little quirky stuff in this game.
Block Koala. Well, this is a Sokoban pushing game. It's pretty good. I really like this genre. It's not inspired, but it's solid enough. It's a very B game. It's good. It's not fantastic, and I know that it's got enough levels. The editor is nice, although it's kind of comical that like they give you a share code, and the share code is for if you make a level, but the share code is literally like it is literally the entire grid, but like all the objects are replaced with letters.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like, yeah.
No, we
so,
looked
like,
at that. It's fucking insane that you would expect someone to actually put that code out there. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah, there's no compression at all, which is... And this is a genre that some people just really don't like, but I really like it. But even then, I only put it at B, because it's a solid enough, and I enjoyed it, but it's not super special.
We were like...
Well, it's funny.
I think, yeah, we put it in the same exact spot. We're just like, yeah, sure, I guess.
Well, I mean, I made a point. I said about 20 times during the review. I don't like this genre of puzzle game, but we still put it in. I still put it in the same place. So, you know, that's kind of funny. Yeah, it's just kind of a great equalizer. I mean, I don't hate the genre. I just as someone who lacks patience, just not my thing. But we still put it in B because it seems
like
fine.
a robust undo.
Yeah. That's very nice. Hey, camouflage. This is the second game I've cherried that we've looked at.
Yeah, camouflage. It's short and sweet. It's a simple puzzle game. It lands in that same B tier where it's not super exceptional, mostly because it's a bit short. But it's a good puzzle game, and I liked it and I enjoyed it. There isn't too much else to talk about.
This is an SK kind of one, to be fair. I didn't really have much to say.
I definitely bumped this up because I like this one a lot. I think it's one of the few games that I felt compelled to cherry. I ended up liking it.
Yeah, because it's a good cherry condition, probably, because it's just...
What's the cherry?
Just do everything. Just beat every
Yeah.
level.
It is the 100% cherry and not the be awesome and invincible cherry.
Yeah, we could talk a little about that later. But yeah, no, I put it in A. I just liked it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't say more than that.
Campanella. Like, this is funny because I've never played or seen Parodius, but I kind of imagine that the bosses in this game are like what Parodius would do. Just from what I know of the game. Just the really wacky bosses that are like, oh, here's a basketball that you put in a hoop, or here's like just vegetables you chop in a cooking pot. This game is just full of character. I even liked just finding all the secret coffees, because there was a logic to like where they showed up. I'm gonna put this in A. It's almost an S tier, but it is a little frustrating to like have to do it all in one go. But it's really enjoyable, and just feels really good, and it feels really quirky and unique.
That's basically where we put it.
We put it in A. Yeah, big fan of this one. I did some grinding on this on my Steam Deck in a hotel room, so that's my biggest memory of this game. So yeah, really good one. I actually hated it at first, but then I kind of stuck with it and wrapped my head around the controls, and yeah, I'm glad I did. Actually, no, I used Belvase to practice that. Yeah, there are warps, yeah.
just will like the soundtrack in that one too. Golfari, alright. I think you got spoiled on this one.
Yeah. This is... It's an interesting game. I love that it's a big Metroidvania where you kind of expand your ability to move farther, like the range at which you can move from your home base by just finding more and more and more strokes, and then eventually strokes aren't nearly much as a problem, and you get to like explore the area. I just think this is a really solid game that I loved exploring in, and there's just a lot to... It just really clicked, and I liked it. I gave it an A.
Fair enough.
Well,
it did not click for us, so we gave it a D.
Yeah, this is... Yeah, I was a little spoiled. It's like, wow, I gave it like your wow. And you're like, yeah, it's mostly not for me, and...
honestly,
don't know what we're doing, really.
I honestly, I feel like we probably should have put a not qualified on it, but, like, I did try it, and I just didn't... I didn't like the concept, basically. I think that's really the short of it, is just the concept didn't click with me, and I just didn't like it. But it doesn't mean that I think it's badly made, because I don't. I just...
No, I mean, a lot of these, like, I want to like, you know?
Yeah.
I just didn't really... My biggest takeaway is I just didn't know where I was going or what I was really supposed to be. Oh. It's a matter of patience, again. I just couldn't be... I didn't enjoy it enough to, stick with it and work it out.
I will say there isn't a whole lot of direction at the beginning. For me, that's not much of a problem because I'm like trying to like find all the goodies anyway in any game. So, but like, it is easy to miss the NPC who points you to the first place you want to go, and even then, you need to like go into random caves and get strokes before you can reach that way and get your first upgrade. The break.
Right. I think I discovered the NPC after the video view, and I was like, oh, yep. But, yeah, I think it's a matter of patience, and, yeah.
Big Bell Race. I forgot there's a game in between this and Campanella.
That's kind of weird, yeah.
Yeah, so I love how the description says this was hacked together in the week, because man, this is the least effort put into any of the games, knowing that Campanella exists. It's just like...
Yeah.
It's a racing game that we threw together in 5 minutes to pad out the collection, and it's alright. The items are way worse than, like, say, Mario Kart items, because they're a lot more random in, like, you can't really aim them at people unless they happen to be near you. It's just kind of... It's fine enough, but it's just such filler.
Yeah.
It's just got... Especially given that Campanella already exists, this is coasting off of the good parts of Campanella a bit. I can imagine maybe playing this as a race is fun.
Yeah.
There's a hack of this that gives it 6 players online.
That sounds like a lot of fun. But...
we put it in B. It's just like, it's fine, but it definitely feels like it should have been the multiplayer mode for Campanella.
Yeah, I feel like, we could probably have put it lower, because I think that is a good point. It kind of is just filler. It's like, I enjoyed playing it, but
defined C as filler, which I don't think you may necessarily have rigidly defined as such.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
I enjoyed playing it, so...
Yeah, Sam. Warp Tank.
Warp Tank is a really fun, thinky game with some action elements, and I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of cool stages. If you get all the things, you can find all the coffees, which if you beat the game, you get the flowers pointing you to the coffees, which is nice. And I didn't know until a little bit too late, but hey. And the way they hit the final level that opens up when you get the thing, like, I had to look that up because that is kind of a bullshit way they hit it. But I do like how the end is kind of feels like a Champions Road type thing, like the end of modern Mario games where they just have one level in a crazy space world where, like, they just throw everything at you and it's one big final gauntlet.
Oh.
This is a really good game, and I put it at high A, almost an S. I'm not ordering these tiers within tiers, because I just don't do that with tier lists usually. Yeah.
Sure. I think we put it bottom of A.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was more an SK thing, but yeah,
that was me.
A's.
Waldorf's Journey.
Waldorf's Journey. It's a fun little game. It's definitely a bit hard to wrap around your head around at first. And the fact that it part of it is just dealing with the wind is such a big deal is a bit weird.
Yeah.
But it's really rewarding to good at, and it's just chill. And it also, it plays different each time too. This is a good use of randomly generated levels and such. I'm gonna put it low A, I'd say.
We put in B. Yeah, it's high B.
I think I was more keen on it than you were, but yeah, still B's fine.
I was just saying this is fine. I think. Well, it was also the fact that the main sort of goal, as you mentioned, is the cherry. The trophy is kind of.
Yeah.
It's kind of just it's just sort of there because oh yeah, we need some sort of cherry requirement, so we're gonna take part of the mechanic and make that the actual requirement.
Yeah.
Okay, Porgy.
Porgy. So it's kind of funny that so close together we have two Metroidvanias that are all about expanding the how far away you can get from your home base by getting upgrades.
Right.
This one's much more straightforward and in its design, and obviously the underwater theming makes the diving mechanic make perfect sense. I think the main thing I hated about this game is the fact that you have to pick and choose power-ups, and the result is that you have to just basically you can't bring any of the fun quality of life stuff because you have to bring all the boring stuff that breaks certain kinds of blocks because you're going to need that and you don't know what you're going to need.
Yeah.
And that's a very big problem that pushed it down to B for me because yeah.
So Bob didn't really play this game much.
No.
This was all me, essentially.
Yeah.
I tried in earnest to beat this game, and then at some point I stopped because I was just so annoyed by it. And I think you bring a good point, though. I didn't even think about that. You do have to spend a lot of time with, you get all these upgrades, and it's just oh no, you have to bring the ones that give you progress. The rest of it is just, you don't have room for it. So, screw you. And I just found it was so easy to just lose entire runs, entire dives.
Yeah.
To just random shit. And, the saving grace of, finding fuel drops on enemies was very rare. And it was a lot of small things that added up to make a game that was way more frustrating than it should be, given how cutesy it looks. So...
I do...
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
That's it. I put it high C, or that's where we put it. Was high C, where.
Yes, in the high C's, obviously.
Yes, delicious. Oh yeah, high C. Yeah, I got you. Onion Delivery.
Okay, this is an interesting game that the first thing you notice is that you have a huge turning radius. Part of that is amplified by the fact that grass makes you turn even harder, and that park is naturally where you try to, test out your controls first. I did figure out why they do that, though, is because it allows you to make laning adjustments in lane, to go in either, to go from the top lane to the bottom lane while you're driving without just slamming into a wall, because this is very much one of those games where the traffic is you don't have to follow the traffic laws, but you have to respect it because you'll end up crashing into things, or it's more dangerous to go in like the wrong lane and such, like crazy taxi or burnout, that kind of stuff. So I understand why the turning radius is so big. It definitely takes a lot of practice, and you get longer in it, and it is very unforgiving. I'd say C tier, but a high C.
I want to ask a quick question.
Yeah.
How much of your opinion of these games do you think is changed by the fact that you cherried them?
It could be, like, I'm realizing based on what you're saying is that the opinions are changed because I've gotten a lot better at them and put the time into them, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That works. Oh, that looked weird.
But this is also a game with a kind of frustrating cherry that'll make me put more time into it. It's
We did not get along with this game very well.
I was particularly negative about it.
I had an easier time with it than you did, but I also didn't beat it because, again, just frustrating. But it ended up in C anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to beat.
The part where the monster on you starts like jumping around and just chasing you everywhere while you're like dealing with everything else, I just was like, no way. This is
actually dumb. That one I found was some of the least thing because if you're in motion, like if you're doing well, it doesn't do you, but it can like totally wreck you if you make a mistake and slip up.
Right. Yeah.
The rain was interesting because I like how the music completely cuts out and it's just rain. And
Yeah.
It makes you feel like you like actually driving in the rain because you have to be careful. And I did like how of the different mechanics that they throw at you each day, some of them encourage you to go like more faster and reckless, while others encourage you to be more careful and safe to vary up the gameplay.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is also a game where you get a lot better at it when you practice it because obviously you learn the town a lot more.
Right, yeah.
That's just inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah. Caramel. Every time we get to a game, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear where this is going.
I did notice in our video, every time a game's booted up, they go, oh, this one, or like some variant of that, oh, now it's this. Like, literally very anticipating each discussion.
There's a lot of interesting things to say about UFO. That's one thing that they succeeded at very well.
Yeah.
So this is, it has a very good core mechanic in that, like your little camera stun gun thing, and I think the core gameplay is solid. The way they do lives is weird because it's one of the very few games where I end up in purgatory, where you just beat the level, you get far in the level, you get alive, and then you die, and then you repeat that over and over again, and you're just cycling on one life over and over again. It is a game you do have to play a lot to eventually beat, which is less a fault of the game and more just like, it's just very hard to make a game like this where like knowing what's coming up isn't a huge benefit, you know?
Right.
It's very enjoyable, except for it's also very hard, and like if you don't like repeating things. Oh, and by the way, that colored enemy there, you want to take a photo of that. It drops the health up.
Ah, did not know that.
There's one halfway through each level.
Interesting.
Yeah. You want to be using your thing to stun him like a lot more.
Oh yeah, no.
Use your camera aggressively.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot.
Yeah.
It is a little funny that they went with this mechanic, which is sort of unique, except for the fact that like one of the most famous Toho games is one where you take pictures.
Of course.
I it was a really mean thing that there is a extra final boss at the end that's in its own stage, so you can't really loop it and like get lives. You just kind of have to do it with the lives you have. I only figured out later that it only appears when you cherry the game, which is getting the UFO letters, which are all really easy to find. So that was definitely a bitch, especially since it taken many ways. This took me so many times to do to get a run that just beat the game, and I didn't know that sharing it made it a little bit harder too, but the difficulty, it's a good game, but the difficulty is just so high. I have to put it in high C, I think.
Oh wow, we put it in low B. It's at the very bottom of B. I'm actually a little surprised at that because
I may be overstating that part, but like it is. I think I'll put it in low B.
Well, I mean, you're the one who beat it. We didn't. No.
I was definitely waffling as I said it right there. So,
I mean, because I don't even know why we rated it that high because both of us were just like, this is too fucking hard. Like, put a checkpoint in the middle of the level or something. It's ridiculous. Like,
we'll talk about that later.
We weren't like negative about it, but it was like it's too damn hard.
Because I like the
game. I think it's part of. Like, it's part of where they fell a little too beholden to the genre, or especially as it existed before.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, knowing that there is a fucking life up in each stage definitely makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that would have been nice to know.
There's also when you beat the game, they give you a code for a practice mode, which would be helpful before you beat the game.
Amazing. So...
Party House, S. I don't think there's much that needs to be said. This is just such a good game. I've gotten really good at it. My highest streak is 22, and I almost never fail to get like at least 5 at this point. It's just so good, and I like how it takes some of the elements from Dominion that were phased out in later card likes, mainly because they make that crazy box that like is a pain in the ass to set up, but like here in a digital thing, like having a fixed shop of like for each, you can just do that.
Yeah.
And there are so many different. It's just an insanely well designed card roguelike thing. Card deck builder thing.
Yeah. Well, SK and I actually, when we got to this game, we discussed it and we were like, okay, we're gonna have to put the baby mad thing back in here. This game sucks. We hate this. And then we did like the avatar thing on my server on Discord just cause like to make fun of it and mock these ridiculous characters. No, this is our shared favorite game.
A fucking dinosaur at a party? This is unrealistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did put this at the very top. I think collectively between the two of us, like, it is neither of our most favorite game of UFO 50, but it is collectively like the game.
The great equalizer.
Yeah.
A game that I would probably put at the top of the S as well, which I feel a little bad about because it kind of overvalues like replayability over a good single player game. Like, not that that's a bad thing, but like, I mean, I think I enjoy single player games. I think I think single player games are more underrepresented in the modern day and need more love, whereas these games don't need as much love, but this game is so good. It's so damn good.
Well, this is a lot of fun in 2-player, although I'd be terrified to play with you.
How does it even work in 2-player?
Versus.
Yeah, so you...
well, I mean, what does that mean?
There are 6 of these, or I think 6, of each character instead of 4, and you take turns. The first person to get 3 stars in their party wins.
Okay.
So it replaces the time limit with just racing to see who can get there first.
Yeah, and you show in the pool of characters, so there is some interactivity there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you actually have to battle over which ones to get if you want to do like similar builds. You actually have to be the first to purchase all of those characters.
Yeah.
So.
Yoshi, what was your streak on this game? Your top streak?
Top streak 22. Usually don't go that crazy, but 22.
I am never playing this against you.
Yeah. No kidding. I've gotten close to getting 5, like, 10 times or so, but nah.
I got
think
the.
when I saw you playing, the one thing I wanted to tell you is be more cautious about busting, especially early on.
Yeah.
I want to say since we did
Early
the
on
first
is the
video,
toughest part because the trouble or friends make up so much of your deck.
Yeah, true.
I just want to say I got the cherry since we did the video, by the way, because I did go out my way to mention how difficult the cherry was. But
yeah.
it's still no. What we said is still true though. Like the RNG, it's a bit weird for the random thing, because you just get sometimes it'll just hand you things that are like so hard to work with.
Yeah. There's some pretty dumb games. All right, Hotfoot.
This wants to be Bushido Blade so bad, but it's kind of not.
You mean
It's
Bushido Ball?
interesting. Bushido Ball. Yeah. It's kind of interesting, and I think it probably would be like better in 2-player. And this is probably one that I feel a lot. I don't like that. Unlike the other Bushido Ball, this doesn't have continues. And then I probably putting this lower than it is because I cherried it because you have to win by like over 5 points in every single game.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's all right. I'm just gonna put it in B. It doesn't. It's not as interesting. The fact that you're playing 2-player, it's a 2-player team is a bit awkward, even though it's kind of necessary.
Yeah.
The design.
Yeah, it wouldn't work with a single person, but it also makes it. It's just awkward.
I said this last time. I would like to play this 2-player as in the co-op mode. I think that would make it more enjoyable. But yeah, well, I don't think we could really get behind this. We put this in C.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Mm.
There's something to
it. I can see. All right, divers.
So
Yoshi, tell me what the fuck is going on.
We did this again. So this is a very mysterious game. So one thing to note is that later on, like there are 3 hidden items. One of them is the Barbuda guy. One of them is the Mooncat thing, and one of them is the Warp Tank.
Yeah.
And those are all the Thorsten Peter games that are all very weird. And this game is also very weird. And at the end, it's revealed that your lizard guys are basically going down and resurrecting the boss from the Barbuda.
That cut out for me there. Say that again.
At the very end, it realized your goal was to like resurrect the boss from Barbuda.
All right. I was anticipating what you were gonna say, and then Discord like went all wonky, and I was like, no, I want to know. What are you resurrecting?
So again, we have another game where you are increasing the amount at which you can go by leveling up your characters and getting stronger gear. This kind of slower fit is better for an RPG in that RPGs are naturally more slower paced anyway and already have that thing. And the whole diving mechanic, it probably hid some of that kind of grindiness away in that it's just what you expect from the diving experience, you know?
Mm.
It is thematically about pushing yourself deeper and deeper. I enjoyed this game a fair bit. I think it's definitely the strongest RPG in here. It's a much simpler RPG, but in a better way than the other RPGs in this list. Slowly exploring just feels good, but I'm gonna put it in B. It's a very slow-paced and methodical game, and if you're not the kind of person who explores everything naturally anyway, it'll definitely kill the pacing for you, especially if you're not sure how to RPG super effectively.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like a game I would not care that much about. Well, that's creepy. What the fuck?
Yeah, it is. Are those skulls, by the way? In the rock face.
Oh, maybe. So yeah, this is one of the 4 games we put in not qualified because we looked at this and went like, I don't know what the fuck this is. I didn't understand what the fuck was going on, and I didn't really care.
Yeah, the same
It's
basically.
not
I
as
think
bewildering as it first seems.
it's not. Yeah, it's just that if we lack
Yeah.
the motivation to play it, then we're
Yeah,
not.
I know. No,
going
I
to
know
look it up.
exactly what you mean because, like I said, it right there. You know.
The argument I made at the time, that's come up with the other RPGs, is that as much as I love UFO 50, if I'm going to, how long was this, Yoshi? Would you say in terms of hours, like roughly?
I'm very bad at estimating that kind of thing.
Fair
It's
enough.
definitely the shortest RPG there. I definitely say this is the most successful RPG. It's one you can actually get into if you're willing to put up with it. Whereas the other RPGs, well, we'll get to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the argument I made was that as much as I like UFO 50, like I don't want to put too much time in one game. I'd rather play another game. It's a bit more fleshed out, especially in RPGs. So.
That wasn't necessarily a
But
problem
yeah,
for
that's
me,
fine.
but I did play this and I felt like I didn't understand what was going on, and it's one of those things, like, I think it was mostly just that I didn't get the impression that I was going to like it more if I put more time into it. So,
Yeah, and I don't get the impression that you would like it more if you did put the more time into it.
fair enough. So, yeah, that's what it is. I thought it was Grim, so I was like, oh, it's right here. All right.
Rail Heist. Oh my god, this game is so good. It is so good. It's just such a great concept. There are the different ways you can play, like the fact that you can play. You get a pacifist run for stealth, and then like a run where you kill everything, and then a timed run. Gives it so much replayability, and the comedy value on this is just so gold because like of the fact that your corpse gets attacked and punched and everywhere. This is just such a good game.
Even stuff like getting the enemies to shoot each other
Yeah.
and just
Nobody has any damn trigger discipline.
yeah. Oh, this
This was ass. I absolutely love this game.
yeah.
Unlike anything else.
Did you put time into trying some of the Bob? Because I saw the medals for you. Did you put time into getting some of the medals or not with this?
I got
game?
the cherry. I cherried this after,
Okay.
but probably after we
Holy
recorded.
shit.
Oh my god! Right
I
there.
love this
That's
game.
exactly the cut. Yeah.
Holy shit! Oh man, I've never seen anything that crazy.
You're right about the medals. They are a ton of fun and give a lot of replay. Especially like there's like I think it's like the second from last or maybe third last mission, but it kind of just gives you the level. It's just kind of a spectacle. But then to do that without actually killing anyone, that was a very fun challenge. So if you know which level I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it basically just gives you a bunch of enemies and you can kill them easily, but not killing them is a fun challenge. So yeah, no, I love this game.
I did consider going back and doing the medals because they do seem like a lot of fun. So yeah, just a really good game. Manger.
Oh man, Metroid. I love Metroid.
No, I
really
think you'll
like-
find that this is a vertical shooter.
Damn it.
I really like this game. I really like the way the power-up system is implemented, where like you put each of the power-ups into one of 3 categories, and like eventually you get items that let you put. But like if you put too many in the same category, they overheat. But then eventually you get items that let you put more in the same category without them overheating. It's just a really fun exploring game, and I just really enjoyed it. I put it at okay. S, yeah.
Damn. All right. So
I don't have much to say here. This is all SK.
yeah, so we put this in not qualified because I had gotten kind of stuck, and we just it was another one we were like, nah, not really interested. At one point, I just decided I'd try my best to actually like get through it. I looked up what I was missing. I figured it out. I think the thing lacking like a third button to get access to a map on the fly is a huge detriment. But
I'm a bit better about remembering maps, but yeah, I can definitely see that is, there are other games in this collection that really have the boy. I wish could actually use start for something other than the default
Yeah.
menu.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the NES has more buttons than you.
Yeah. So yeah, I did actually put because my navigation skills are shit. And I think the thing that I was missing was that there was something that was highlighted on the map already, as if I had been there, but I hadn't, or something weird like that. But
It took me so long to figure out what the little dots meant, and the little dots just meant that there's a terminal there. A
Right.
terminal. Yeah.
But what I came away from this with was just like I kind of found it boring, to be honest. I think the system is neat. Like the power up stuff sounds really cool, but like I think it's just because this is all you do, and I don't know.
I can see that, and I'm not going to reevaluate it just because, but I
Right.
could see putting it at A, thinking about that criticism, like actually bumping it down a tier because it is simple. It is a thing where I just really love the genre.
Right, yeah, sure. I think that was the thing, is I like the genre too, but I guess because I played more expansive Metroidvanias, that
Yeah,
something like it's neat that it exists in UFO 50 and that they have a whole game in UFO 50, but because it is in this collection, it is inevitably not as fleshed out as a what do you call it? Just an actual game.
standalone game.
Yeah.
And
So
I can hear that, yeah, and that's probably what most people would think about that game, and that's very fair. I play sort of really retro games some more often, and I'm basically more willing to play games that are like still fun, but like aren't as good as compared to like later entries.
yeah,
still have-
simpler older games, sure. That's fair. No, that's fine.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely one that's less impacted by that. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I would have probably rated C, maybe below B. It's fine. Like there's nothing innately wrong with it. It's just it wasn't interesting enough for me.
Yeah.
But
That
Yeah.
would put it in C, my C, basically. Yeah.
yeah. Procon
On
Island.
Island. So this game, it's they did a tower defense, which is interesting. I hate that the cherry condition is being perfect.
Yes. I genuinely feel like that's one of those things that I want to say is impossible, even though I know it's not. It's insane. Sorry.
It's funny because it is really just. I found like it's really just the first couple waves. Once you get past that, you're usually golden.
Yeah, you just have to
The
establish.
other weird thing is it's wonky in the way the economy works and the way that you're encouraged to just slam down chickens before the rollover because of your maximum limit being so close to actually being achievable. Like you can just slam down a chicken in the middle of a run and like
Oh.
that'll get you bonus money, like even if the run ends 2 seconds later, the wave.
Right, yeah. It's
And that is like crucial to getting through these things. The other thing is the final stage is the absolute worst thing I ever played in UFO 50. It is terrible.
Oh wow.
You cannot see. It is. Yeah, that's a bold statement, but I'm standing it is this one single worst thing, like worst moment. Like the map is too goddamn big, and you can't see what's going on, which is a problem in a tower defense game where you're trying to figure out how good your defenses are. And like you're just. I had to look up a guide and just sort of literally do a video guide and literally do what they would do through the entire like 20 waves of the game round. It's like 15 or 20 waves. It's extra long for no reason. Good reason. It's terrible. I didn't understand what I was doing. Oh god. And I can't put it any higher than D because of that moment.
damn. Was that doing cherry or just beating it?
Just beating it.
Okay, because
I couldn't understand because I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't understand what was going on at all because I couldn't see what was going on.
I find that weird because I had an easier time with this level than you did, in that it only took me like a bunch of tries, and I didn't hate it. I was just kind of like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? But it was. You're not wrong though. Like, it's kind of insane how much it expects you to do, how long it expects you to do it, with so little of the screen at your control. Like, it is nuts, but yeah, I don't know. I like the game. I think, oh yeah, we were at middle B.
Well, that was more. Yeah,
That was
I mean,
me.
I played it. I found it very
Yeah,
difficult.
like if it wasn't for this level, it would probably be high C, low B.
I think that speaks to the sort of different viewpoints we have on games, though, because I'm kind of the opinion that I would play this game more, and I like it because of that, but I would just not play this level, and I don't even...
Yeah.
I don't care how bad this level is, because I just wouldn't play it again, you know?
How much value do you
Yeah.
put into actually beating a game or
And
just
remember,
playing
this is
it?
us beating it rather than, you know,
Yeah, that's a different thing as well. And also,
not
Yoshi,
just
you
carrying
strive
it.
to
It is
get
hard
the...
to beat it. And like I,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is, well, I think that's that you can tell by the fact that you cherried all these games, or at the very least, you wanted to beat all these games, and I beat half of them, maybe?
Yeah.
So,
That's why SK and I, you know, kind of had to collaborate to cover them all, because...
yeah, for sure. Ping golf.
oh man, pinball. This isn't a whole lot like pinball. I love pinball. The pinball is rather. The pinball element is rather weak. Other than the fact that there's pinballs, and of course the fact that there's a DMD and it's the most stylish thing ever, and it's one of the best parts of the game. But
I
like,
should have acknowledged that, yeah. It is.
but that's not an actual qualm. It's a very entertaining game. It's a very good game. It's a very short game. There's just, I like it a lot, but there's not a lot to it. Like, once you're done, you're kind of done. Unless you have multiplayer, that would be interesting. But like, I put it in B for that reason. It just barely escapes filler because it's just so good and so stylish. But it is also not a lot to it.
I think that reflects what we said about it. We put it in top of A. I think we liked it a bit more, but also, like, we were just like, the one criticism we have is that, man, it would be nice to have, like, more than one course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And,
pretty
like,
much. That was my biggest complaint.
You were more picking and choosing, so the fact that it was smaller wasn't as, like, you weren't expecting,
Oh, sure, yeah.
so to speak. You were bouncing
Yeah.
around a lot more.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, I really,
You're
really like this
embracing
game.
the way
but-
most people play this game, which is like, I got the one of the most common achievements of like play all 50 games really late.
Right.
When I've got achievements that are like still in the achievements like getting 40 golds and things, which are actually like on my page up there in the rarest achievement list that I have.
Damn.
Which is funny because like usually when you get the rare achievements are for games that like were out a while and then added achievement late in their life cycle, like basically all of the latest the final achievements they added to TF2 is like the ultimate, yeah, because like half the like only 10%, 1% of people actually played when that achievement was available. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, my the reason for my ranking here is this is actually one of my favorite games, but I put it where we put it because the only thing that kept out of S for me, because I really do like it, is the fact there's only one course, and once you've done it, yeah. Although we did play 2-player, that's a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind doing that again. No,
Sure.
because we played it for the first time. I think if I'm not mistaken, we played it for the first time in multiplayer. I wouldn't mind trying that again now I know a bit more about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's also funny how at first I look as like, wow, how am I going to get under par? And then later on I was like, oh wow, I did it pretty well. That wasn't too hard.
Yeah.
And I
pretty
also
much.
like how this game doesn't understand how par works. Because par is supposed to be like 1 or 2 strokes above like a good run.
Oh,
And you're
yeah.
supposed to have like, if you went to a golf tournament and people were like at plus 11 and the winner was like plus 3, you'd be like, wow, these people suck.
Yeah, so the goal is just to beat everyone, and the cherries like be under what they call par. So, yeah.
Portal 2.
Okay, this is just a really solid game. It takes the Mortal concept sort of, but in a different direction. There are so many different ways to tackle it. You have to get a bunch of keys, and like there are different areas, and you don't have to go to all of them. You just have to go to enough of them, and then get to the boss. And like there are different classes that each have different ways, and that can help each other with their sacrifices. Combine in different ways. This is a fantastic game. I put it at S.
That's where we put it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, actually, like, without spoilers, I guess. I don't know. Did you get to the boss by bombing the passage, or did you just get a shitload of keys?
I did it by keys. I didn't know there was a cheap way to the boss.
I use bombs. I didn't get many keys. Just curious. I won't say anything more.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, love this game. Absolutely love it, and love Mortal 1, love Mortal 2. Just a really fun like spin on that first game.
Alright.
Alright, so Fist Hell. This is funny because this is the game that like ate your babies and stole your grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like,
may have
I knew
spoiled that. but-
freaking yeah. At first I was like, yeah, this is okay, but as the more and more I played it, the more I came to just kind of dislike it. But at the same time, it's not F. It never truly pissed me off. But the fact and knowing that to go it probably helped that knowing to going in that I know that you had to be like below enemies.
Oh,
And that
right.
made a big difference. Which, to be fair, I might have figured that out anyway, because it was definitely noticeable how much you get bodied when an enemy comes up below you. There are a lot of you moves in this game that are like, why would I ever use this? Like the charge punch, and nearly everybody's special. So I put it in D, and like the alien boss is like, what the fuck? Although, funny enough, playing enough to get the cherry, which I kind of regret, but I did play it, and it's kind of funny. Like you have to do that to get the ending where you don't like die, or you don't either your mom doesn't die.
Oh
but,
no. For the record, like for like the references we made to this, obviously, like this was an open secret. How we felt about this, like it's still not baby mad.
No.
There was like nothing in the collection that was like truly horrific. It just as fans of beat 'em ups, and we had literally just done that beat 'em up tier list as well, which made this didn't help this either.
Yeah.
Well, this is one I definitely wanted to hear your specific criticisms of, because I am not into beat 'em ups at all, and some of the things you were saying, I was like, you were really butthurt about the blocking enemies. I didn't feel like they were a huge issue, but we'll see.
The enemies?
Blocking?
I'm
Or
not
maybe
sure what
that
you
was
mean.
something else.
I don't remember that at all.
No.
I don't remember
Okay.
there being enemies.
Oh, how far did you get into this game? Obviously not all the way. Yeah. Oh,
I made it to level. I made it to the
at
alien
least
boss,
you
I
can
believe, and then I
continue
gave
to
up.
spam your way through, unless you're cherrying, which was my mistake.
I mean, we've got a video of us like getting into why we were annoyed by this. One big thing is the lack of lives. Like for this genre, we don't get why there are neither lives nor like the ability to gain lives. There's no scoring system to encourage you to do certain things to make you more survivable, like like caramel, or see the example.
Oh, I get. Yeah, I guess that's definitely a criticism I would definitely see.
I mean, to be perfectly
The
honest,
only real, yeah.
if you were like because we just got off doing as you mentioned the beat 'em up tier list, we played all these beat 'em ups. All those beat 'em ups feel better than this one. This one is slow. It feels clunky. Like nothing feels good about it. There's no rewarding sort of like
The
tossing guys
chainsaw
into other
feels
guys.
awful.
The
Yeah.
chainsaw. Oh my god. Just like the fact that you can't grab dudes without hitting them first. It's just like why? Like why do you? Not that it matters because grabbing doesn't do a whole lot anyway, but there's just so many things that beat 'em ups do that make them feel good that this game doesn't do. On top of things
That
like the hit
the height thing,
Yeah.
the height thing, that shouldn't be there. That shouldn't.
Yeah, the
I
height
wouldn't
thing is
expect
the
that.
one thing I would notice as a novice. Some of the other stuff is stuff I wouldn't notice as a novice, especially since I only really played a few beat 'em ups and never really stuck to them.
One example is, I mean, again, there's a whole video of us moaning
Yeah.
about this game. So, but the damage values are really like screwed up as well. You have the like the charged pile driver move, which is really hard to pull off. Well, not like impossible. It's tricky.
It doesn't really
And then
do much.
it doesn't
that
do
was-
much damage. You're like, huh?
Yeah.
That
And
should
the AI as well, like the zombies tend to dodge. If you throw an enemy to another
Oh,
enemy, which
that's
is a
the one
fun.
thing I almost forgot to say that is very important. This game, it is extremely easy to just inch forward a pixel at a time and break up enemy waves. They basically
Oh.
spawn. That is vital for getting through the final levels, is to just spawn them one at a time and defeat them almost
Oh.
one at a time by just inching forward pixel by pixel.
that's the thing where it's like, sure, you can do that, but my god,
Fuck,
like,
yeah.
I would
That's
have
not
preferred
fun.
my game to be fun to play, you know? It's
Yeah, it's easy to exploit. Like one thing you can do in this game is you can do the old final fight like one punch reset thing,
That I
and you can
didn't
do that to
do.
any many.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that, and that really should, like fucking
Yeah.
the earliest '90s beat 'em ups, knew how to get around
Yeah.
you exploiting that. So it's this game.
Well,
Also, given that this
I
is a
didn't
modern
think
game,
it
it
was
should.
bad as first, and then I just hated it more than I played it. Not hated, but I disliked it.
yeah.
Have you seen the final boss though? Because I do love how it's just the mayor. He just tail drives you with like a shoulder drive. He does this shoulder dive thing. You should see it. It's really cool. But it's also a very clusterfuck of a boss.
I mean, aesthetically, we liked this game.
Yeah.
Like we thought it was
well,
cool.
That is one thing. Like this kind of like gory, violent thing it's not my style at all.
Sure.
I like the parts that enjoyed it was like the weird chicken girls. Like, what the fuck is that from? And also the
Chicks.
snail enemies. The snail enemies.
Some good
more
monster
into the, like
design.
the goofy horror that I really like. You know, the kind of just interesting stuff.
Yeah. I just, yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Didn't meet our
It took me a while to
expectations.
arrive at the exact same conclusion. Is basically what happened.
Yeah, more or less. Just that's not even the lowest ranking game on our list. I forgot about that. But
I won't say though.
it's the second lowest.
All right, Overbold. This is another game that's pretty filler. It's neat until you finish it, and then it's like, well, that's it. So I kind of put it in C. Maybe the multiplayer is kind of interesting because you're like you're pushing against the other person, but it's a fun concept. But like, especially the push your luck part. But like, there's just not a whole lot to it.
So this was definitely more me than SK. I was quite positive about this, but having since recorded that video, yeah, Yoshi, quite right. Once you've beaten it, there's not really a whole. I haven't really found myself going back to it that much.
And I think that... Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say we put it in. Well, I also may put it in. Where is it? B.
But you're kind of reassessing. Yeah, I put it in C. Also, it's kind of the upgrade system definitely feels like if you could go longer, it would just get more and more broken. Like you can't just make the game longer.
You couldn't make endless. You couldn't make this an endless game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just get too powerful.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I more or less agree with you, Yoshi.
It's not enough variety though. I like it conceptually, but yeah, I didn't find myself going back to it a ton.
Campanella 2. How do you feel about Campanella 2?
Oh man, Blaster Master. I've heard of Blaster Master.
Heard of Spelunky?
This game, I've heard of it. I haven't played it, but like this, it felt like, oh, this is the Spelunky devs because this game is way too hard for its own good.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that you can just get killed at any time outside your ship. You
Oh
just
my god. What a
fucking die. It is way too hard for what it is. it's a really cool game. I like it, but then to just lose it all just on a whim is just. And you can't really you can protect about it better because there are some upgrades that can help with that situation. But also, there's also sometimes you just get really screwed with the fuel if you don't do it right, and that's another way to just lose. I did the cherry, which honestly might be just as easy as doing it normally, because you get a different boss and you skip like the second final level to straight to the boss.
Oh.
And it's also because the boss is also a boss in the boss of the normal, who I didn't see at all and didn't know existed, is also the boss of Campanella 3.
Oh.
So I put this in C because it's got severe problems. I really like the gameplay loop and a lot of the decisions, but it's just, it doesn't want to be this kind of game. It's been forced into this kind of game because we know how to Splunky. It felt like them falling too far back on like what they're good at rather than what's best for the game.
Sure, yeah. I would say, which is funny because I rated it a bit higher, but I would 100% agree with you. Like, I like this game a lot. I really wanted to, like, love this game, but because I have not been able to beat it because it is so brutally difficult, I couldn't say much more than just, it's neat, I wish I could beat it. I wish it wasn't so frustrating just lose everything whenever you die, because you can die so easily. But, we put it high B.
I didn't have a ton to say, but...
Yeah, that was definitely a me thing.
Hyper Contender. Is it me or does, like, do I think like the default character, like, they have that weird red pixel that makes them look like a dog person?
Oh, yeah,
Even though they're not the actual dog person on their nose, because it looks like, you know, like a dog nose, but it's just a weird pixel. Not this one, the one that's being highlighted on there, but like, you pick draft, so they're not in that draft pool.
Right. Fine.
So anyway, this is a sort of... It's much more fighting game adjacent, but, like, you know, it's still fighting gamey. But it's also, like, really interesting. But at the same time, I felt like this was the weakest of this kind of game. I put it in C because it didn't really grab me that much, although it was interesting. Shoutouts to putting Uppercut in the game. That was fun. Just this goofy ass guy. He's entirely sure uppercuts as what he does almost. I do enjoy how the characters are all unique in their own way, especially in how they move. Like, when I first met Fang, I was like overwhelmed by him and like, wow, this is a powerful character. And then I played him and realized, oh, you can't jump unless you use those bombs.
Yeah.
I'm of two minds on the ring system. It's funny because they said it increased the gameplay as their like trivia blurb, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know if it improves it or makes it worse. It's kind of hard to tell.
Are you aware of the terminal code?
Yeah,
Pastoral.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say, but
It's another one where it's intended for multiplayer.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Bushido Blade managed to be actually kind of good in single player.
Bushido Ball.
Ball.
Bushido Blade is a PS1
Yeah, I know.
samurai game.
That's why I keep fucking getting owned by it. Yeah, but this all the whole parries and dodges and stuff.
It's surprisingly elaborate. I think the FGC would love this.
I think so.
Like, it's a side tournament thing. Like, it's surprisingly in depth with the parries, like the wake up DPs basically. And we put this in A. We were quite fond of this, but we did agree it wasn't as good as Bushido Ball.
We actually put it right next to Bushido Ball because we were just like they're kind of. They have a little bit of a similarity, but
yeah, obviously same crowd basically.
Yeah. It needs to be multiplayer. I think like AI it's fine, but
It's a fighting game. It's not necessarily that fun to play against the AI.
it's almost like a literal platform fighter because it's like you're playing a platformer character. But yeah, no, I think we quite like this one. At least I liked it a lot. So
I did.
Valve Race. This is almost my fist held because I wanted to like this game because I kind of want to get into like this kind of dungeon crawlery thing. It seems like a cool thing, and then I'm really good at like having a good memory. Which again, this is like if you could just have the map on the start button, that would be ideal. And the only reason they didn't do it is because they fucking didn't have it. But just the more I played this game and the longer it get, the more I decided to dislike it. Like obviously the strongest part is the fact that you're playing Punch Out sort of as your combat system, and that's all really fun. And they managed to keep it fresh enough. It's not like super deep, but it doesn't need to be because it's only part of a whole. But there's just a lot of things like you only save at the start of each level, and the later floors just keep getting larger and larger to a point where that's not really a good idea, especially when there are bosses at the end of every floor, or at the end of every other floor. There's just a lot, like the way that the magic works, it's interesting, except for the part where the more like the time you have to cast a spell is influenced by your magic stat, and so in order to make the later spells soft capped, so you can't just use them right away, even if you learn them. They become more and more and more complex, where you need more time to enter them, and therefore more needs will level up. But that just means it's really hard to put them in, and really annoying, and really annoying to remember. And like, there's just a lot of stuff that that's not explained well. And so even I put this in D because I wanted to like it so much, and there is good things about it, but it didn't come together. It's just the fact that you have to like do every floor in one go is really bad. And like it would be even worse if you're not down to like, oh, I'm going to like map this out on this mapping program, which I actually tried to find a mapping program for this because
Remember you saying
this kind of RPG is very common, and the only one I found, it's actually good, but it is a command. It is like a very Vim or Emacs style editor where everything is text commands. But at least it has an F1 button to display all those commands. And it does has the benefit that those systems have, where if you get good at them, they're actually really fast to use. But the lower levels, they were so long that I eventually started using just looking up the map. This game doesn't do anything super bullshit, which is not something that can be said of like classic RPGs. Like, have you heard? One of the things on the map editor was putting a spinner, which is a thing where when you step on a tile, you are silently rotated, which completely disrupts your ability to map the area, and is awful.
Wow.
Like, it doesn't do any one thing that was common enough to be like included as a thing you do.
That's awful.
There are modern, like, if you want a modern style of this game, play Legend of Grimlock, that like has quality features. Yeah. That is a good solid game. So yeah, but I put this in D.
So we put this in low B, but that was really speculative. It was just like, this seems neat.
I think the key difference here is
you didn't actually play through it all. You played the first couple floors because the first couple floors are better because they're smaller and the problems don't show until later on.
Yeah, that review of ours is very much like, it seems pretty cool. It wasn't like we played it enough, so we didn't put it in like not qualified to review.
Yeah.
But we were also like, we also didn't aspire to to beat it. At least we weren't like, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna beat every game in UFO 50. So it's just like, yeah, seems alright. I'll get to it at some point, but yeah, no, I'm not. So although we put it in B, it's also not like I don't think either was like that committed to it. Like, you know, we're not gonna like argue. Oh, actually, it's not. It's like, yeah,
you played
fair
the
enough.
better parts of the game.
Yeah. So our ranking is different, but that's just because we approach this differently.
I can very easily see that becoming like I didn't even want to
Annoying.
beat it despite playing the best parts of it, but I can easily see that becoming so much worse.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
The fact that I haven't gotten further.
No, Persian. Why did I say Persian? It's Indian Ghost and Goblins. That's pretty cool. Oh god, it's Ghost and Goblins. So yeah. Doing this was hard, and then you had to get a score target, which actually wasn't that hard, but like I didn't get it the first time, and beating the game was hard, so I did it again. Maybe I shouldn't have, but like I like this gameplay. The game and the way the game plays. It's very neat. I like the one thing about the mechanic that is weird though, like, you know, like whenever you die, you get the like the skulls, and you try to come back to life, and the mini game gets a little harder. It's not just the mini game that gets harder; the entire game gets harder. The game is designed to put you in a death spiral, which is a choice.
How so?
Oh, I didn't know that.
The entire game gets harder. Like enemies spawn faster, just more enemies. If you get enough skulls, eventually the torches start shooting at you.
What?
Huh.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. This is definitely where a guide helps, because it points out all the special places where you touch a place and things appear, which I figured out existed because one, it's used a lot in this UFO 50 by now, and two, there's some that are in the way, and three, there's the familiar who gives you an extra hit but also points those things out.
Yeah.
And with those, you can find the little one-ups, basically, that lower your difficulty.
Huh.
And,
okay.
which makes things easier, but there's also points, too, and it's weird because getting point targets does mean something, but it means that the next enemy will have a rarer drop, which isn't necessarily... Like, it could be like the one-up bell, but or the clock that gives you more time, or it could just be more points. So it's a bit inconsistent.
Weird.
So overall, I'm going to average it out and say a B, because it, despite being hard, it is engaging even while it's hard. But
that's where we put it. Was generally like, this game seems pretty cool, but man, is it hard? And that's that's pretty much where we came from.
Unlike some of the other hard games, it feels a lot better in its hardness somehow.
It feels, I mean, if it's a play on Goose and Goblins, then you know you kind of expect it more.
I will say I still dislike, and you saw it a little bit there, the fact that your attack will go past things if you're too close to them. I find that to be...
never actually... Well, because I stayed farther away, I guess, but I never really ran into that.
I've seen it a lot, and it's...
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Monkey guys that, like, fall out of the sky and then land right in front of you. If they happen to do so, then you gotta back up in order to hit them, which is just weird. But, I don't know. Yeah. I wanted to like it way too hard. It's very Campanella 2 that way. Star Wasper.
Okay. It's mean putting a game this hard in a collection where when people go in it, like, they might go in it with like, oh, I want to beat all the games to experience them all. And like, you know, get this far and realize that maybe you're skilled out of like actually beating all the games and getting, because like, I got a cherry on this, but technically cherry is just getting enough points, and like getting enough points is what gets you lives, which is what lets you win the game anyway. So, do you like egg? Because I like egg.
Do you like spelling egg?
Yeah, you like spelling egg? You basically, the first couple levels are you get a power up or two, and then you spell egg a bunch to get enough points to sustain yourself through the hard parts of the thing. Which I almost gave up on this game until like I looked up like guides because I thought I wasn't necessarily going to play it anymore, and I found out that like it got easier, and more importantly, that the last stage was just a boss. And for some reason, that boss is actually like probably the second easiest boss in the game.
Huh.
It was still nerve-wracking because I had one life, and he wasn't that much of a pushover, but
Relatively speaking, he was doable.
yeah. The other thing is they buffed the red thing, and like the third stage is like the hardest stage by far. And the only way I figured out how to get through it is by just using specifically the red buffing and bombing every single like special as soon as it came up, while using the damage to keep the endless onslaught of those homing guys at bay, because you have to keep on top of them or else they'll just overwhelm you, which I'm not even sure any of you ever made it to wave 3, so
I got to wave 3. That's as far as I got.
Wave 3 is by far the hardest, and that's what other people say as well.
Sure, yeah.
And I just bombed my way through it with the red ship that has the highest thing, which is something they added in an update, is increasing the red ship's damage.
Huh.
But yeah, one thing I also don't like is that the power-up system is half-baked. Some of the power-up systems are just way worse than others.
Yeah.
Like, there's the G, which is GEE, which does a special for each character, and they all aren't that good. The red ship, it summons the Campanella to fly across and shoot things for a bit.
That's cute.
It's hard, and it's playable, but it doesn't really have that sauce to justify how hard it is. I put it in C, I'd say.
Okay, we put it in low C actually. Yeah, it's like
I was almost like unqualified, but we kind of put it on anyway.
I'm surprised we didn't put it in unqualified, because like, but I do think that there's a point to like, this is just so hard to a point of just like, it's kind of a mean thing to put in this collection. You're right. It's like this is the first game I played, by the way. Whenever I put this up, because I played randomly, and this is my first impression, and it's like, oof, that is, yeah.
Well, at least it's a genre that's kind of expected to be that way. So
Yeah, I didn't.
This is wave 3, where these guys come out so fast, and only the red ship can kill them like quickly progress. You have to keep these guys under control, because if too many build up, it's just in trouble. And even then, you're probably going to lose some lives on the way through. And then later on, they spawn like the mini bosses. Like first the bosses of stage 1, and then like the little mini bosses of stage 2 with the homing shots. And basically, I had to like get like the red ship's EEE is like a bomb, and it instantly kills those. And I had to like stockpile of those and use those to kill it ASAP before they could be a problem in order to really get through the game.
It's just absurd. But yep.
Say hello to Grimstone.
It's Grimstone.
Okay, so this game, it doesn't really do a whole lot interesting. Like, it has a setting, and it also has a setting where like the continent has like literally fallen into hell, and now you're in hell, which
Texas,
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But like, it's not, because it doesn't really mean anything. And the gameplay is alright. Like, the gameplay, like, it's basically just an RPG, but they also have this little active symbol, which isn't especially, like, you know, uncommon in an RPG. And like, and this one in particular, it's a little like, attacking in a little game called Undertale, which I think a lot of people have played. Maybe, I don't know.
What was
So,
it?
so the uniqueness factor is pretty low, especially. You do have like the different guns doing it in a different way. And one thing I should point out to you, the persons, just like in Final Fantasy, the people in the lead slot get attacked more, so put the tanks in front.
Yeah. What order are they in right now? What the fuck?
They're in, probably some of them were dead.
Yeah, I don't know why they're in this order right now.
Bottom.
Very weird.
When they're dead.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that when selecting the characters, you might get a team that doesn't really go together, because you kind of have to go on vibes to select the characters. I was lucky enough to get a good enough team. I got Umbra, she gets heal spells easily, and she gets all the spells. I got the male tank, gun dealer damage person. The dancer who has some party support buffs, and then like the one guy who's basically sort of like a blue mage, only instead of learning the enemy spells, he learns specific spells from enemies.
Yeah, I got the guy who is a healer in the sense that he makes heal items stronger. He doesn't actually have healing abilities. He just makes
think he does eventually, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I just know that, like, as far as I played in this game, I put a lot of hours into it, relatively speaking. All he does is just, you get to use heal items twice, instead of once, and it's...
The way the items, like, group up, it is an older RPG where you have to grind a bit to get out of the front. I'm not sure I did it as bad as you did, but it is definitely a hell of a grind.
Yeah.
And also, the thing is, all that's fine, but like, the dungeons are pretty uninteresting. Well, there's not that many tile sets in the entire game, and it's something I only realized later on, where like near the end of the game, there's this tower you go through, and like, it's actually themed pretty well. Like, it's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and each one has their own floor that has their own that's themed after, death, famine stuff.
Right.
And like, the tiles are slightly different and they're differently colored. And it's like the one dungeon that is interesting. All the others are just like caves and generic dungeons, and there's not a whole lot going on. And once you beat that game, you finally get you get to take their horses as your airship. You are riding the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse's horses. That's fun.
Silly.
You get the ability to like fast travel, but you have to pay out the nose for it, and you have to pay out the nose a lot of times during the game, which really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
This game, it isn't doing anything unique. Like, even the setting doesn't really do. And like at the end, you learn that God's evil, just like in every third JRPG out there. Wow, what a twist! Honestly, this is an F. It fails at being what UFO 50 is, which is unique in any way and not just a sort of lame RPG Maker game.
Damn, you're even harsher than I was on it. Because I fucking hated this game. Oh my god, I hate this game so much.
Think you are novice enough at RPGs that you're like, and you're not sure you like them that much anyway, that you were like, this might be okay for our people like RPGs, but like I know enough RPGs like, no, this is not okay for you, even for people who are okay with these older RPGs that are slower paced and stuff.
Yeah, like I feel like I gave it the benefit of the doubt. Like I was like willing to go like, oh, they're trying to make like an old simple game. It's like, sure, and I like the sort of skill check thing with the attacks, and you get like more interesting ones, I assume, as you go on. But
not much more interesting. Like the pistols, you've basically seen them all except for the heavy gun, which is just mash the button.
Right. I was willing to really give it a shot, and I spent most of my time grinding outside the first town, because in order to get into a place where you're comfortable, you have to. I just wanted to buy starting gear. And
Yeah,
that took me 8 hours or something like that.
yeah. The money is so bad
It's
in this game.
awful.
And because you only play the first part, you didn't really see how samey all the areas and dungeons are.
Right,
You
yeah,
didn't see
yeah.
enough of them. The one cool thing is the one cool thing is like the kind of enemies that are based on like cryptids, basically.
Uh-huh.
That's like the one cool Western flavor.
Oh,
And
sure.
there is part of the end where they have some kind of bullshit one instant kill enemies too, which is great. I
Right.
love it. Which is like I see a thing that mentions, oh, it's just like in Final Fantasy 1, and I'm like, no, in Final Fantasy 1, you get a boss that does that, and then afterwards, before they can become common again, you get an accessory you can equip to all your people that protects you from instant death attacks.
Right. Oh god, no, it's just, yeah. I like that I got to play as Maria from Rail Heist, though. That's cool. But
Yeah. I didn't play it. I really added a lot.
you didn't miss much. Oh boy.
No.
Okay.
Lords of Disconia. It's sort of almost a companion to Avianos, except it's also got that that feeling, the whole Karam thing going on, which is really cool. And there's a lot of this map matters, and the way that it intertwines with the actual game matters, and there's just a bunch of different ways you can approach building your army, especially based on what the taverns offer near you, and what the different areas give you. The thing is, it's a very long game, so you can't just pick up and play rounds of it like you can with Avianos, which is quite a bit shorter. So going through the campaign was cool, but I don't see myself really going back to this unless I'm playing with another player, which could be a thing that happens because it is only the power meter is really the only active part of the game.
No,
Like,
we did ping golf.
Yeah.
Netcode. We could definitely do this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put it in A. I get A because I think it's a strong game that I don't have the audience for it because I wish I could play with other people, but I had fun going through the campaign as well. And there's just a lot of different mechanics that go well together. They're really good at these strategy games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it at high B, and I think that's similar reasoning. Just like we want to
Yeah.
actually like play it with each other before we can really say. But it seems really neat.
We haven't got around to it. We meant to, but
Yeah.
I think
is
it's
a
pretty
thing
cool.
where playing through the campaign like gradually teaches you what all the units do, but so it's helpful but not necessary depending on how you learn games.
Right. Nightmare.
Man, I played a lot of graphic adventures growing up, so this was cool. Nothing's bullshit. Everything's pretty logical. They seem to like. There's this one thing where you put 3 items together to create that like grappling hook.
Oh yeah.
And they seem to realize that might be a pain point because one of the it's actually hinted at too in one of the journal scraps, which is like the only journal scrap that's not like lore of what's going on behind the scenes. Is like just an actual hint for gameplay, and like when you use the right items in the wrong way, the error message you get very clearly tells you, hey, you should be using them in this way instead. You're on the right track, though. Good work.
Right.
As for the game itself, the thing with the killer is like it's actually a really annoying mechanic that just interrupts you, especially with all the random things that make noise and summon the killer. But at the same time, including stuff you have to do. But at the same time, like it wouldn't be it wouldn't have nearly the same atmosphere if there wasn't a killer around and around trying to kill you. You know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it wouldn't be Night Manor. I also do think that it's odd that like the normal ending and there's a whole puzzle that leads to the normal ending that you just don't have to do if you're going for the best ending.
Right, yeah.
But I really like it. There is almost an Arise section where you use a key to get a key, but the key is like a wind-up key rather than a key. I also had a hard time trying to finding out that the balcony was a room, so that stumped me for a little bit.
Oh, I got stuck finding the corner in the garden. I went out to the kitchen, and then I didn't realize there was a place beyond this.
There's a
swimming pool.
reason they give you that weird map, which it would be nice if they didn't, but I understand that for the aesthetic, especially, they want one view of every room because that's how those games were. Because you know, that's how they're rendered. So it's okay. I also think the backstory is kind of lame. It's like, oh, it's a mushroom that makes people mushroom month. What?
It's kind of Last of Us, from what I understand of that.
Oh, sure.
It's like a fungal thing.
Yeah.
But I really liked it and enjoyed it. I'll put it in A because it's just a good game. It's a good adventure game that doesn't pull any bullshit on you.
Yeah, that's where we put it. I think I like.
I want to. Yeah, I think SK liked it. I dragged it down. I think it was gonna go in S, and then I dragged it down a tier just because I didn't think it was like that exceptional. Although I like it a lot, it is really good.
Yeah, it's not the best exceptional, but especially for a compilation game, it's good enough. And especially because this is a genre where once you play the game, you can't play it again. So getting new games of this type is good. Is a lot better than getting new games of like a platformer or something.
I want to ask you something, Yoshi. And I'll try not to go on too much because I went on for about like 20 minutes in the original video about this point. But did you think, Yoshi, that the gold should be like just getting the true ending? You know, like the one where the mansion burns down. And then the cherry should be doing that without getting caught by the killer, because in terms of like the UFO 50 meta thing, there's no real incentive to do like the killer stuff. I thought that would be like avoiding the kill, and then you can kind of speedrun the house.
I think no, just because that would just be a really awful, annoying cherry to play the game again. But this time, don't make any mistakes. That is the worst kind of cherry.
Yeah, I guess so, because I didn't like go for the cherries. Anyway, I just thought it was weird that the bad ending is the gold disc. I just thought that was weird.
The bad ending's kind of weird in general because it's
Yeah, so obviously, like
that whole puzzle of like getting the garage door open if you're doing the true ending as opposed to everything else.
Yeah, and it's painfully obvious that that's not the true ending because you're still carrying a ton of things that you haven't used. So I just want your opinion on that.
I do love the shaky arms, though.
Oh yeah, the shaky cursor.
Cool.
Sure.
Oh man, Pocky and Rocky. I've heard of that game and put it on the list recently. So, one kind of problem with this, one of the problems with this is it's not entirely clear how the system works for the cards, and I actually looked it up to figure out how it works. But otherwise, this is a much friendlier version of the other games, the other shooters, because you have lives, you have hit points, and a roll, and even the cherry's not too strict. You just have to not get a game over. But like, the one thing is getting continues in the bonus stage. Like they're hidden like completely arbitrarily. You shoot invisible things until a ticket appears, which is weird because the bonus stage, which you have to get tickets for, is the thing in the demo and not the actual game.
Yeah, we at one point, I think Bob pointed out, I was like, what game is this? And I'm like, I don't even know. And then eventually
it was
found one of those.
Yeah, wait. If you leave if you leave it idle on the UFO 50 menu, it will go to random attract mode. So I didn't know which game it was showing. Yeah, we didn't like go into this game and then go, oh, it's.
Yeah.
We just we literally saw it out of context. We're just like, we don't even know which game this is.
Yeah. So it is. I did go through it a bit quickly, like once I knew what I was doing, but I think I'll put it an A because it's just so charming and fun. Although it's kind of funny, like all your friends are dead is the bad ending.
The bad ending is so fucking weird. I mentioned that in our review. It's like, why is the normal ending, like the one without getting like no continues, like why is it so bleak? It's fucking weird. But yeah. So I think I don't want to not to blame Bob or anything, but I think he brought down this one because this is like one of my favorites.
No, I'm probably, well, it's still an S.
Yeah, it's still an S, but it's at the very bottom of an S. It's like a top 3 for me. I don't even know why. I just like it. It's just a charming, cute little game.
It's really good in 2-player as well.
It is, yeah.
It's a fun co-op game. I mean, did I bring it down? I mean, I think it's really good. If I was in a bad mood, I don't know. I like that game a lot. I definitely think it's one of the best ones. Well, maybe not top 3, but
bit
yeah.
too short, but it's still pretty good.
I just think I would have put it higher if you were more enthusiastic about it, but you weren't. So I think.
Well, it was a shared thing. So that's, yeah.
So I think it was just like because there's more creative games. I think that got higher.
Sure.
But no, it's good. Pilot's Quest.
Okay, so this is kind of an interesting thing because this is I've got into Cookie Clicker big once. This is not quite Cookie Clicker. It's more akin to Candy Box, which is a game that starts out as a bit. It was made before Cookie Clicker and was one of the inspirations. It kind of starts out as a idle game, so to speak, and you build things, but then it kind of transforms into an RPG game where you make runs at things, and that's your progress, rather than like building up your empire. And you make RPG runs, and you if you the punishment for not you lose a lot of time resting if you try to go to something that's too dangerous for you. But in this game, you can actually just, walk away rather. While the other game, you couldn't escape unless you brought an escape potion or something. So there's a lot more of an active decision about it. At the beginning, it's kind of an idle game, but then you're playing once you get enough meat to make actual runs, it's kind of this Zelda 1 thing, and like the way to get resources, the best way to get resources is by actually playing the game, because of the different drops they have, and because of all the things you can do with money, and it's balanced so that you are encouraged to do runs rather than idle. But it does run into a problem where you can make it to the end of the game where you've explored all the areas and done everything, and so you're not very incentivized to do more runs just to grind resources. But the game is still quite a ways from completion as far as the idle game goes, which really drags it down. And then there's the surprise cherry, which you don't even know about until you play the game again, and like you don't even know what it is when you read it, because it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Which is really great on a game where you like have to put so much time into it. But I really enjoyed this game. I thought the idle mechanics were neat in the beginning. I really enjoyed this game in stride when I was basically playing a Zelda-ish game with a sort of push your luck retreat to base mechanic that wasn't too punishing. As long as you were retreated, you generally had enough meat to immediately go on another run again.
Right.
But then at the end, it's like, I've beaten the game, but now I have to wait to beat the game. And that's really bad. This game is just the less than the sum of its parts. As a Zelda game, it's pretty cool. Zelda 1E game is pretty cool, but like it is kind of stubby. Because everybody's all chibi.
Yeah.
It's got that syndrome, hitbox syndrome, and I didn't need the magic yo-yo at all, or the stamina I upgrade, which I assumed was for your health. It wasn't until I got it later. It's like, oh, this on the second playthrough to get the cherry. It's like, oh, this actually makes your miners go faster.
Oh, is that what that is?
Your ingot smashers go faster. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is just it's got great things in it, but it's a game that's less than the sum of its parts. So I put it in C, which is maybe a bit harsh, but
we put it.
We put it in B.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we liked about it is that they put an idle game in UFO 50 specifically.
Yeah.
So you can grind it out while playing other games. That's what
yeah,
impressed us about
the problem with that is, well, one, it's very late in the saga, which you did warn me about, and I was just like, I'll have more games to play anyway. I didn't realize that it was an idle game that only ran while UFO 50 was open.
Yep. Which, I mean, it makes sense.
Kind of, like, sure, it makes sense, but it's bad.
It's not.
We found that endearing because it gives you you can run this in the background while playing. If it was like anything else, yeah, that would be terrible. But
it's smart because it's in a mini game collection. It's a collection of small games, so the idea it makes sense. Otherwise, like, it's not meant to be. Like,
this is a thing where the way most people play it is the way you play it, and it fits very well for the way most people are going to play the game. And I don't play the game that way because I'm a weirdo. And it ends up feeling flatter for me than it does for you, even though you warned me and I didn't listen. But yeah, I can see why this game makes a lot of sense. It is kind of dependent on you stumbling upon it early enough.
Yeah, because Bob had to tell me about it. That's one thing that's worth noting is he was just like, you want to do this, and I was like, why? And I did, and once I figured out like what was going on, I was like, oh, okay.
Especially since it is also a game that's sort of a sequel to other games in the collection.
Yeah.
Thematically, this is Zoldath.
I mean,
there's a lot of callbacks to Zoldath, and it is, of course, also the pilot from Campanella.
I think that's why it's not an earlier game, because they also want like flex the And in lore, they're saying it uses the new real-time clock in the LX2 or something like that.
Yeah, it's funny because they're really interested in the story part, but not so much the technical side of the story part. Because like it didn't feel. There are also some other things where they're kind of just going for vibes of the time period rather than the stricter things. Especially Avianos, like I think it's probably an outright anachronism for someone to figure out the bird dinosaur link at that time period. I don't know if that was known yet, and especially wouldn't be widely known to a kid, which is implied by the credits.
Right. That's silly. Mini and Max.
This is a really cool game. That's mostly what I have to say about it. It's just I like that there's so many different ways to beat the game. There's a bunch of different quests, and you are allowed to do whatever quests you want to do, and you don't have to do most of them even to beat the game fully.
Yeah, there was one that I still don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do.
Are you?
Maybe that's the time.
Oh, are you talking about being getting the cherry or what?
No, there's it's over here, I think.
To the door, right?
Yeah, there's a door that some guy is like, you can't. Yeah, this one. I don't know what I'm supposed to do to get in there.
Oh, there's Did you find the place where they live, the soldier ants? There's a place where they live, and they'll give you a quest to and it'll open the left door for you, and you'll defeat the person who messed with them, and then afterwards they're friendly.
Interesting. I think that speaks to how much
there are
stuff
so
there is
many
in this
quest
game.
lines, and there are so many different ways to do, and you're not expected to do all of them. And also the way you get upgrades is like you kind of just stumble about them in the mini world, which is just funny as hell. And like it gives an individualized nature to your playthrough, but it's also balanced in a way that like you don't feel like you can do it in a wrong way, even though there's so much randomized stuff to it. that like gets in your way.
Mhm.
The one thing that is kind of bad is that when you get to the boss, like the end boss, like you're locked out of using the dog until you beat the game, which is kind of a problem, especially if you're not quite sure how that part goes. And also getting to the cherry is actually, you had to look it up because it doesn't make any sense at all. Like, well, it makes some sense, but it's easy to like you're when you're at that point with the cherry, you're like, I have so many active quest lines, and I have no idea which ones will lead towards like this guy. Like you can find the guy in the clock, but he's not gonna. He's the person you go to after you find the guy. You can't. He doesn't help you find the guy at all.
No, that's right.
And then
yeah.
you have. And then you have to. It turns out you have to turn off the switch, which I didn't remember was a thing you could do if you were a citizen. I just thought that was one of the things that kind of pointed you towards that town. And then afterwards, you have to take their you see the like the night people that you can see during the night, and you have to take their advice very literally. And you can't shrink immediately behind the throne. You have to shrink be in the corner behind the throne.
That's right. I do believe Bob ended up looking stuff up for whenever I was playing this on stream, because I ended up...
Sort of guiding rather than just flat out saying, like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe try here, yeah. Yeah, no.
I just kept... It's funny, because I kept on finding on new towns, even when I thought I had explored most of the game. It's just because it's such a big world to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And then you beat the game, and you figure out you're in the party house, so it's automatically the best game.
Yeah,
it's
honestly.
kinda wild. Where did you put this? Oh, up there
I
in
put
S.
this in S, yeah.
You just threw it up there.
This is my personal favorite. This is the third or fourth game that I played in the collection, and it is the thing that taught me that this collection is very special, because this game is just incredibly creative. So, I mean, I've talked about it enough.
Yeah,
But no, genuinely my favorite game in the collection.
and I watched you play through it as well.
Well, the thing is, you're almost ready to cherry the game right here. You
I
did
have
the hard
cherried the
part.
game.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I saw gold. My bad.
I've shared it.
Okay.
Commands.
Bad chance. Oh.
Nice.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, yep, good.
Okay, so the thing about this game is that it very well might be made bad on purpose in order for the meta textual story which they head on. Which is a choice I do not agree with, but I feel like they very well may have made this game bad on purpose. It's completely non-functional. The enemy has twice the health as you do, which is a terrible way to do the health. And when you beat the game, it's more like you're exploiting the spider than actually playing the game. And I almost do feel like they did this on purpose, which is terrible.
Why is that? Because
This is the directorial report of Nemuru, who's the big boss guy who's crazy.
Right, yeah.
So this is like revealed through Miasma Tower, right? Because I think at the time we didn't know too much about that.
Yeah, and I didn't know anything about it too until I eventually got to the end, and then I'm like,
Well,
I did pick up on like some of the names though.
I almost wonder if they accidentally made it shit, and then they put that dialogue in. Like,
I've heard someone who say that the 2-player mode is okay, which
sure.
I don't know. But
But yeah, no, this is not fun. This game, this is literally our least favorite.
Yeah, this was the one we put below Fistel because...
Well, yeah, it's a complete shit show. The AI it's very much what you hate about old games, which is AI that is dumb as bricks, that you have to babysit.
Yeah.
And the third level is the hardest level in the game. And I had to look up a guide and then a video guide in order to figure out how to beat it.
Oh god, I think I beat one level, so...
It's that one on the left there. I didn't realize you can walk under the crayons until later on.
Oh, huh. This one... Oh, so this is the one,
Yeah.
Surprise.
Oh,
Like,
okay, yeah.
am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing something. No, it's just dumb.
All right, yeah. No, that's. I'm glad to hear that because I just found this awful. I feel like there's a interesting concept there, but it was just like we just went on about how Herzog Zwei is a so much better version of this game, and for being a Genesis game, and it's like, yeah, no, this sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I had a feeling that was going where it was going.
Quibble race. This is something I might like more if it was in hot seat. Oh well, you could play hot seat mode. Yeah, we could do this.
Yeah.
It's a fine enough game, but it's kind of fillery in that if you're playing it single player, it's more fun to like try to win and beat the opponents, but the actual goal is to get a certain amount of money at the end by which is not exactly the goal that's the most fun, where it's more about outwitting the opponents is where this might be good. And there is only so much you can do with computers, but like this would definitely be more fun in multiplayer. I'm putting it in C. It could definitely be better if you could get a group together, because I just like all the little systems that go together, and then eventually it's at the end it's still just gambling. But
yeah, which is why it should be rated M or whatever. Go Berlatro. Anyway.
Yeah, we sort of agreed that because SK came off like quite negative about it, and I was like, it's dumb, but might be fun in multiplayer. Not that we've tried that yet.
I do like.
It's not style.
Yeah, I do like what you said. Yeah, like of course you didn't like it. You tried to beat it.
Yeah.
Which.
That's your first mistake.
Well,
and again,
yeah,
you're just going for the cherries and still put it in C's.
Cherry. Well, beating it is just taking first
It's just
place,
luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
It's-
luck,
it's-
but it is, also what you would be doing in the game, trying to beat the other players.
I definitely agree. I know for a fact
Not
that was
expecting to
a.
win every time, but
Yeah.
Mario
I know that was
Party style.
a Windows and then Flash game that Derek you made. So.
Yeah, I saw that screenshot too. Yeah.
Hmm.
Seaside Drive.
Seaside Drive is a very stylish shooter. It's a bit short once you know what you're doing, but given some of the other shooters on this list, I appreciate that more. It is such a stylish game. It's fun, like how each of the levels is themed differently, and they're just kind of a little bonkers. It's a very simple but fun mechanic in the drifting to charge up the power of your weapon. It's forgiving enough. It gives you lives. It's just a great game, and but it is a little on the short side. But I will give it an A because I especially appreciated this late on because the latter half of the second row was kind of awful, in either being very hard or very bad, or both. And so this was just such a breath of fresh air, and I knew it wouldn't be too hard because like you had a cherry on it, uploaded a cherry video of it. So like, okay,
that
they
was
didn't
me.
like
Yeah.
try it. That means they didn't take too many tries because they don't take too many. They don't grind it out.
Right.
No. That was just kind of me, like, just doing it, and then, like, I had Steam record on. I was just like, I'll just upload it. So, we put this in S.
Yeah,
We
fourth
love this.
highest. Yeah. The two-player
Fourth
mode is really
favorite.
interesting too.
Oh, there's a two-player mode.
There's a
Oh yeah,
two-player
yeah,
mode.
Yoshi, take a guess how that works.
Yeah.
One of you is the enemy.
No, that's cool, but no. One person drives, the other person guns.
So yeah, one person aims and shoots, the other person controls the car, which of course means they control the drift. So it makes the game a lot easier, but it is just extremely fun. Like
Yeah.
you get to
And
focus
SK and
on-
I, this is the one game SK and I have beaten together.
Oh yeah.
It was good. It was good enough for net play. So
Which I mean, I think just because I was doing the shooting, like if I had to be the driver, like I cannot be going through netcode. That'd have to be the host to do that.
Oh, one thing I noticed while
Yeah.
trying to die for some reason is that Your hitbox is like bullet hell shmup style tiny. Like bullets that clearly hit you will miss.
Right.
It's very much in your favor.
Yeah. Not much else to say. This whole video was talking about more specifics.
Kevin03.
This is a fun, cute little game. I put it at B. There's not too much to it. It's not super hard, which again I appreciate. It's a little. I wish they had done a bit less shooters and like kept the best shooters in. Much like how I wish they had had the balls to have divers be their JRPG instead of having to make Grindstone and just not having any ideas for it.
Yeah, I think that might explain our placement of this. We straight up just said not qualified. We looked at this and just had no interest in playing it.
Yeah, I didn't.
It is. It's cool. It's unique. I mean, definitely expect to have a game that, this is the kind of super scaler that people were playing with down at the day. And it's not as hard as it's not very hard. And it's kind of fun. And you're challenged to get it. Oddly enough, the cherry is stupid easy for some reason. You have to get a certain amount of kills, but the kills is super low for some reason.
How many games did you cherry on your first completion?
I'd say about 25%.
Damn. Okay.
It depends. It really depends on the cherry. Some cherries are what you want to be doing anyway.
Uh-huh.
Some cherries are impossible to clear on your first attempt because they require 2 attempts.
Right.
And some you actually have to be skilled. It's all over the place.
I remember my Kit Club cherry was also my first completion. It just happened to beat it. I think it's
because
point based.
Yeah, it's point based, and you want to get score anyway, so you survive.
Yeah, no. This one, no. I genuinely I just messed with it a couple of times, and I just keep going it's fine, but I just have zero interest in being I want to play another one of these.
Yeah, same.
It is a bit they're trying to do the tech demo-y thing, which they kind of have to just to acknowledge that part of the history, but at the same time, it's not impressive here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, if it kind of fits the meta lore thing, definitely. They would try this sort of thing this late on, but yeah.
And then the last
Cyber
game.
Owl. These are 3 action games stapled to Metal Gear for some reason. The pacing is just all over the place. Because the Metal Gear section is just way slower than all the others. And it's also pretty punishing. And there's also they added a whole mini game where you try to rescue the guy, and that's stupid hard. Which, I mean, it is a way to get back from losing all your lives in gaming over. So I guess it's allowed to be hard, but it is stupid hard. All of the individual segments are cool. I love how very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets G.I. Joe this is. It's very on the nose. The only thing that doesn't land is the weird idea of dim sum as their version of pizza.
Didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, it's most obvious if you actually beat the game.
Fair enough.
Because everybody goes and gets some dim sum. So where I put it, I'd put it in B. Well, it's all right. It's all right, but the pacing is just all over the place, and it drags it down a bit. The fact that one of the modes is just slower than the other, and then in the final mission, you're alternating between that and the other modes.
I assumed as much.
And the scoring system is just kind of weird too. But it's cool. And then the cherry condition, which I made it the one cherry I don't clear, is beat the game without dying, which I must have lost 9 things, which I suppose I probably could get enough good enough to beat it, but like at this point, it's like this is it, and I realized also there isn't like much of a super reward for getting all the cherries, and which I didn't expect there to be. But like this is just the least fun kind of cherry packed at the end, and it's a ball buster, and like on a game with that weird pacing issue, it's like, eh.
Yeah, near the end as
I
well.
realized, you know, what I really wanted to do was play all of them and gold all of them, and then like find some of the secrets. And I just kind of cherried a lot of them because I was just in case, you know what I mean?
You might have been expecting the cherries to be more of like just a completion thing, or at least have.
Yeah, I think those were a bit more common early on.
More of a unique goal as well, but like instead it's a lot of them are, a good number of them are just like don't die, get a lot of points, and it's just like that's not an engaging challenge. That's just like be good at the game, you know.
Some are definitely more creative than
I
others.
would regret that decision more if it weren't for the fact that a lot of the struggles I had in the late game were just getting golds and beating the game.
Right.
And
I'll say it.
Like I definitely think that you should probably maybe just put down the game, but like I also knew that we could make this video, so that's definitely a thing.
I still I want to bring it up again, like I still find it weird. Night Mana's cherry is just getting the proper ending. It's just weird to me.
I think at that point I don't know what they would have done.
Yeah. Other than something awful, which
yeah, no, it's just the cherry. No, I just mean like the cherries aren't all made equal. Is what I'm saying. Like the cherries are just very
absolutely.
odd.
Yeah, sure.
Because like most cherries are like, just use that as an example. Like most cherries are doing something weird. That one is like seeing half the content of Night Mana.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway. By the way, are either of you actually familiar with NES or MSX Metal Slug games? Because I wanted to know how.
Metal Gear.
Metal Slug.
Metal Gear.
Yes.
I wanted to know how
mostly
the segments line up.
I didn't really play enough of this to say. I have messed with the MSX Metal Gear games, but I didn't play much of this at all. Reviewing this, I think we just kind of came off as thematically, yeah, it definitely looks like it. Yeah,
and it has the stealth.
No, it very much feels like it is a Metal Gear pastiche. It's not. I wouldn't say it's.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like it looked like what I think Metal Gear would play based on my knowledge of Metal Gear Solid, which is only secondhand anyway. But I didn't know if the NES games actually were like that or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The NES games.
It's pretty close, yeah.
The NES games, I think, were their own fucking thing. But that's sort of a different discussion. But yeah, no. Yeah, this is definitely pretty close.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think our review of this, we put this in C, because I just felt like it was kind of a weird, very interesting, very bold choice to end UFO 50 with. I mean, I'm not saying this is necessarily the order they developed everything in, but the fact that they did a game comprised of even more games is very bold. And I don't think any of them feel particularly polished, certainly not as much as some of them, especially like the arcadey games. Like the shooting gallery one just felt kind of off to me. Like
I think this I think the multiple modes thing would have worked way better if one of the modes wasn't paced completely different than the others. I would have enjoyed this more, and I was waffling between B and C.
Actually,
I'd rather have this Metal Gear one more flushed out and just be one game in UFO 50 rather than like
both,
a
you
dozen.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Split off, and then that be its game, and this be this game. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
My takeaway was the other three modes I was able to beat fairly easily, and then I got to this one. I just was like, this is just not great, and I would prefer not doing it. And then I died, and I went like, yeah, I'm not playing this anymore. Yeah. So that's UFO 50. I didn't expect us to kind of blitz through that so fast.
What about Miasma Tower?
Well,
someone give me the code.
Well, they put it on here.
Yeah.
I feel hard reviewing it as a review because it's more about what it reveals, and it feels like if you some of the statements around the times where they were like asking to be nominated or got nominated for the Game Awards, and then the Steam Awards are a different thing. That they kind of, the story element of the human story element was a big part of their thing, and this reveals all the things going on, and it gets kind of wild because like you have like the stuff you expect to see, like, you know, management things, but then you have this like cult thing where like he believes in this weird thing which is actually based on an actual novel that exists in real life.
Okay.
And it turns out like it's something about like there's going to be an apocalypse and then games, and then you go after, and then there'll be a utopia where everybody just plays games and it's all about preservation. And like it turns out that for like at least the last segment of games, they're not actually releasing them. They're just putting them in a vault to be preserved for that future year, and only a few people know about it.
Huh.
Which is fucking wild as hell. And also somebody may have died. Who knows? There's a mysterious death, yeah. That's like, it adds a lot to the game to have that meta story there, especially the parts you can see in the games. But
The part
as
that explains why
actual-
combatant sucks.
Yeah. But also as the actual Miasma's Tower itself, it's kind of like an adventure game, sort of, but like you are slow and everything is scaled way too big just to make the graphics look like the things they're describing. So it takes an eternity to get everywhere. It's an interesting concept. Like I can't really rank it because of its very unique.
I mean, I
status.
was kind of joking, to be fair.
Yeah,
but,
I know, but it's on
nice to
this
hear more
list.
about it.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it. Yeah.
No, I wanted to hear about it.
Yeah.
It should be an F because you gotta beat loads of games to
You
gotta
don't
solve
really.
puzzles. No, you don't. You
Yeah.
can just put in a terminal. I know that.
Yeah. Well, even then, the puzzle solving is all the puzzles that are. You have to be familiar with the games, and I definitely had to look up a lot of them because a lot of them were pretty generic, even if you knew the games. But like to actually do the things, it's always just like boot up the game, and you can do it within a couple seconds.
Sure. Cool.
Always something accessible from the very end. Well, there's my
Yes.
list.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
not too different from ours, honestly.
Not too
I
different.
didn't. I guess I didn't expect it to be different, even though I have a different play style. A lot of the
Absolutely.
games I thought might be different from what I was hearing rumblings of, I kind of just realized, yeah, their flaws are actually readily available, even if I'm not really that kind of the same person.
Sure.
No, about games about
Yeah,
games.
I was expecting more fucking Barbudas,
Oh, sure.
but nah. And yeah, that's a game I definitely know that only appeals to certain people, but it is really good for those people.
Oh yeah, sure. We're never offended by that. Cool.
Sure.